The forest air was thick with the metallic scent of blood. Michael dragged his blade across the pelt of the last wolf, wiping it clean. On his wrist, the smartwatch's battle glow faded, the display settling into a cool blue. Michael Willson, 250 points, rank number 1. A faint smirk tugged at his lips. As expected, he could already imagine the other candidates staring at their own watches, cursing when they saw someone had pulled ahead this fast. But this was just the opening act. His real targets lay deeper on the island, where the monsters stopped being safe and started being interesting. Michael slipped back into the treeline, his steps light and steady. Every move was efficient, every turn deliberate. He knew this terrain already. The spawn zones, the hidden caves with artifacts, the timing of monster respawns. Everyone else would blunder around blind. He was going to sprint straight through the island like he'd speedrun it 100 times before. Leon Lionheart, snowy slopes. Far to the north, on a wind-scoured mountain slope, Leon Lionheart stood with snow whipping around his boots. Each breath came out as a cloud of white in the freezing air. Ahead of him, snow crunched under heavy paws. 2 F-rank snow bears lumbered forward, each easily twice his size, frost clinging to their fur. Their roars rolled across the cliffs like thunder. Leon's crimson eyes narrowed. His grip on his sword tightened. He lowered his stance, muscles coiling like a drawn bow. Lionheart's sword style. Form 1, crimson arc. His blade carved upward. Fire flared along the edge, flinging out a crescent of scarlet flame that cut through the snow. The first bear roared as its fur ignited, stumbling back with a furious howl. The second charged straight through the smoke. Leon pivoted aside, his footwork clean and precise, flame trailing after his sword like a burning serpent. Form 2, twin fong. His blade blurred, one slash, then another, crossing in an X. The second bear's chest split open, blood splattering the snow before its massive body crashed down. Leon let out a slow breath. His watch chimed. Plus 100 points. Leon Lionheart. 100 points, current rank, number 7. He glanced down. His eyes narrowed when he saw the top of the list. Someone was already at 250. Michael Willson, he muttered. Strong already, then. A quiet heat rose in his chest. Not envy. Resolve. He cleaned his blade, turned toward the higher peaks, and stepped back into the blizzard. I'll catch up. Selena Valen, Forest Shadows. In the southern woods, where the canopy stole most of the light, Selena Valen moved like smoke. Her cloak blended into the dark. To anyone watching, she was just another shadow drifting from tree to tree. Up ahead, a pack of F-rank shadow hounds prowled in a loose circle. Their bodies were half smoke, half flesh, with ember-bright eyes glowing in the gloom. Selena's voice was barely a breath. Reaper's touch. Her dagger swept upward. A ribbon of darkness burst from the blade, slicing silently across 2 hounds at once. Their necks opened with clean, blackened lines, bodies dissolving into smoke a heartbeat later. The others lunged. Selena vanished into a whirl of shadow, reappearing behind one hound with no sound at all. Her dagger slid between its ribs, and it fell without a cry. Her smartwatch chimed. Plus 250 points. Selena Valen. 250 points. Rank, number 2. She glanced at the display. One name still sat above hers. Michael Willson, she murmured. Her eyes were calm, but there was a glint there now. Curious. Measuring. Interesting. Then she faded back into the darkness, leaving only the dead behind. Aiden Stromfong, grasslands. On the open plains, the wind carried the smell of ozone. Aiden Stromfong laughed, lightning dancing lazily along his sword. Across from him, an E-rank thunderhorn elk pawed the ground. Electricity crackled around its glowing antlers, arcs licking the grass at its feet. It snorted, then charged, hooves hammering the earth. Perfect, Aiden shouted. Let's see who's faster. He swung his blade. Storm Fong slash. Lightning exploded outward in a jagged arc, slamming into the charging beast. Sparks ignited the grass, and the ground shuddered under the impact. The elk stumbled, its charge broken. Before it could recover, Aiden rushed forward, his sword now blazing with fire. Ignite burst. Flames tore through the Thunderhorn's chest. It collapsed with a heavy crash, smoke rising from the wound. Plus 100 points. Aiden Stromfong, 100 points, rank, number 9. He checked his watch. His grin faltered for a second. Michael Willson, 250 already? Damn. Then the grin came back, brighter than before, lightning flickering off his shoulders. Good. Would have been boring otherwise. He turned and sprinted toward the next fight. Edric William, Green Valley. Sunlight flooded the valley, warm and bright. In the middle of it, Edric Williams stood with his sword raised high, armor gleaming like polished silver. Holy light poured off him in waves, turning the grass at his feet gold. Above, a flock of E-rank sky raptors shrieked as they dove, talons outstretched. Edric scoffed, kneel before the light. Divine radiance flared from his blade, tearing upward in a blinding column. The raptors were caught mid-dive, shredded by holy energy. Their bodies fell in pieces, thudding to the ground like broken toys. His watch chimed. Plus 300 points. Edric William, 300 points, rank, number 1. He smiled as his name appeared at the top. Oomph. As expected. In his mind, people like Michael were background noise. Extras. Commoners like Wilson won't stay ahead for long. I'll step on them one by one. He sheathed his sword and walked deeper into the valley, confident as a man who believed the world owed him the top spot. Back to Michael. The forest echoed with the dying roars of beasts. Michael stood over the corpse of a massive, E-rank dire boar, its tusks half buried in the torn ground. Frost still clung to his blade as he exhaled slowly. His watch pulsed. Plus 100 points. Michael Willson, 350 points, rank, number 1. He flipped the display to the leaderboard. Michael Willson, 350. Edric William, 300. Selena Valen, 250. Leon Lionheart, 100. Aiden Stromfong, 100. So Edric's already getting serious, Michael muttered. It fit. In the game, Edric always exploded early, using his holy magic to wipe out packs of monsters and rush the rankings. He loved the feeling of looking down on everyone. Michael also knew how the arc went. Edric got arrogant. He overextended. And eventually, he got left behind. Which means, Michael said quietly, I can't slow down either. He closed his eyes for a moment, pulling up the map in his memory. Just ahead, about 2 kilometers into the denser part of the forest, was a cave. A D-rank boss spawned there. Frostfang Tiger. Dangerous for this stage. Deadly for most of the candidates. Worth 500 points. Michael opened his eyes, his grip tightening around his sword. Time to gamble. He broke into a run. Leaderboard, 2 hours in. All across the island, the hunts continued. Wolves, boars, raptors, and beasts of all kinds fell one after another. Smartwatches pinged, updated, reset. Every candidate felt the pressure of the shifting rankings. 2 hours into the trial, all watches flashed at once, syncing to show the current standings. Number 1. Michael Willson, 1430 points. Number 2. Leon Lionheart, 870 points. Number 3. Edric William, 760 points. Number 4. Selena Valen, 730 points. Number 5. Aiden Stromfong, 730 points. Number 6. Lyra Braveheart, 600 points. Leon's POV. Leon leaned against a boulder, breath steaming in the icy air. The snow at his feet was stained red, littered with the corpses of E-rank snow wolves. His smartwatch chimed. He glanced at it. Then he froze. Michael Willson, 1430 points. His jaw tightened. More than him. More than Edric. More than anyone. How strong was this guy? His hand closed around the hilt of his sword until his knuckles whitened. I won't fall behind. He pushed himself off the rock and walked back into the storm, wind tearing at his coat. Selena's POV. High up on a branch in the southern forest, Selena balanced easily, one leg dangling. Her blade dripped dark blood, fading into shadow before it hit the ground. Her watch buzzed softly. She checked it. Michael's name sat firmly at the top. Her lips curved just a little. "So that's the type you are," she murmured. Relentless. For the first time, the calm in her eyes shifted into something else. Interest. "Then I should meet you soon." Her form blurred, and the forest swallowed her up again. Edric's POV. In the valley, Edric stared at his watch like it had insulted him. Third place. What? His aura flared, holy light crackling angrily around him. How is some no-name commoner ahead of me? He could accept Leon. Barely. But Michael Willson? A nobody from a minor guild? Unacceptable. "This isn't over," he snarled. "I'll crush you before this trial ends. Remember that." He stormed off, light flaring around him like a burning halo. Aiden's POV. Aiden sat cross-legged on a boulder, lightning still flickering along his arms as he caught his breath. His watch pinged. He took one look and burst out laughing. Already past 1,000? "Michael, you madman." He pushed himself to his feet, grinning wide. "All right then, let's see how close I can get." Thunder rolled behind him as he sprinted off, blade crackling with power. Frostfang Tiger. Back in the forest, Michael stood at the mouth of a wide, dark cave. Cold air poured out of it, sharp and biting, threaded with the smell of blood and old ice. He exhaled slowly. Frostfang Tiger. A low growl rolled out from the shadows. Two pale eyes opened inside the darkness, catching the faint light and turning it into twin shards of ice. A massive shape padded forward, stripes like cracks in frozen stone. Frost clung to its fur. Its fangs glittered with frozen mist. The cave seemed to tremble with its roar. Michael's watch flickered as if it wanted to warn him. 500 points, he whispered. His eyes hardened, and the next step forward. He lowered his stance. Mana surged through his body, humming under his skin. Across from him, the tiger crouched, muscles coiling. For a heartbeat, predator and prey stared each other down. Then they moved at the same time. The real battle for the top had just begun. The surveillance chamber of Arcade Academy was nothing like a classroom. It was a vast, circular hall buried deep in the academy's core, its ceiling arching high like a stone dome. Mana conduits ran along the walls like glowing veins, blue light pulsing through them in steady waves, feeding the artifact array at the center. There, suspended in midair, floated a crystal sphere the size of a carriage. It turned slowly, runes sliding over its surface like living ink. Every few seconds, the runes flared, sending out ripples of light that unfolded into dozens of floating projection screens around the room. Each screen showed a different part of the survival island. White peaks, dense forests, wide plains, glittering caves. Students flickered across them, locked in fights with monsters, every movement captured in crisp detail, as if the instructors were standing right beside them. Below the screens, a semicircular platform of black stone curved around the sphere. Desks lined its edge, each occupied by an instructor surrounded by hovering crystal panels, zooming in and replaying scenes at a touch. The whole place felt like a mix between a war room and an opera house. The only constant sound was the low hum of the crystal sphere and the faint hiss of mana as the runes shifted. The instructors weren't relaxed. Most leaned forward, elbows on the desks, eyes fixed on the moving images. Some tapped quills or fingers against the stone. Others scribbled notes that dissolved into light and sank into rune slates at their sides. Whenever a student clashed with a monster, the glow from the projections washed over their faces, picking out every reaction. Narrowed eyes, lifted brows, clenched jaws, amused smiles. This was where they judged. This was where decisions were made about who would rise and who would be forgotten. At the very front, directly facing the Great Sphere, stood Vice Principal Sophia Emberhart. She had no desk. She didn't need one. Tall, straight-backed, with crimson hair tied into a long tail and a coat trimmed in gold, she commanded the room just by standing there. Her arms were folded, her sharp red eyes fixed on the largest central screen, the live leaderboard. Every tiny change in her expression, a frown, a lifted brow, a slight purse of her lips, sent ripples of tension down the rows of instructors behind her. There was low chatter, the occasional burst of laughter or argument, but whenever Sophia spoke, the noise cut off instantly. From the start, Little spats flared up between the staff. Ronwell Hart, the battle instructor, lounged back with a cocky grin, scoffing any time someone brought up efficiency or form. Sarah Everhart, all calm poise and scholar's focus, cut people off with pointed remarks about wasted mana or poor elemental control. Alastair Greythorn barely blinked, his attention glued to sword users alone, muttering commentary in a rough, gravelly voice. Cedric Irongill, the loudest of them, roared with laughter whenever a student pulled off a spectacular kill. Their personalities collided with every new scene. Discipline against recklessness, technique against brute force, old-school tradition against raw, explosive talent. And at the center of it all, Sophia watched in silence, her gaze like the edge of a drawn blade. 2 hours in, she said at last, her voice low but carrying through the hall, and the rankings are already unusual. Her eyes shifted to the leaderboard. Number 1, Michael Willson, 1430 points. Number 2, Leon Lionheart, 870 points. Number 3, Edric William, 760 points. Number 4, Selena Valen, 730 points. Number 5, Aiden Stromfong, 730 points. A wave of murmurs passed over the instructors. "Show Leon Lionheart," said Alastair Greythorn. The sword instructor was a scarred, weathered man, a line running down one side of his face. He absently stroked his beard as the image changed. The projection zoomed in on Leon, standing in a blizzard, sword blazing red as he faced an E-rank Ice Wolf Alpha. Boom! The wolf lunged, frost streaming from its jaws. Leon met it head-on, blade flaring with fire. Sparks flew, snow hissed, and melted under their feet. Lionheart's sword style, Twin Fong. His twin slashes crossed in a burning X, carving straight through the beast's chest. The wolf crashed into the snow, blood steaming in the cold air. Plus 150 points. Alastair's mouth tugged upward. Solid. His base is firm, and his control over flame is coming along. That's proper form. Expected of a Lionheart. Nathan Pendragon, the first-year combat instructor, agreed, arms folded. But look at his breathing. He's overexerting. Too explosive, not enough pacing. Sophia's eyes lingered on Leon's stance and shoulders. She nodded once. He's gifted, but he moves in bursts. If he doesn't fix that by the end of the year, he'll hit a ceiling. Alastair snorted. He'll fix it. Lionhearts don't fold that easily. Selena Valen next, Sophia said. The view shifted to the forest. Selena slipped between trees like a shadow come to life, her cloak blending with the darkness. Her dagger caught a trace of moonlight as she moved. Around her, shadow hounds stalked the clearing, shapes of smoke and flesh with eyes glowing faintly. Then she was gone. She reappeared behind one hound, blade already slicing its throat. It dissolved into smoke without so much as a yelp. The others lunged. Selena's figure blurred through the dark, every step precise, every strike clean. No wasted movement, no broken branches, no wild swings. Very good, Sarah Everhart murmured, eyes bright. Her use of shadow is exceptionally refined for her rank. She keeps her mana drain almost non-existent. Cedric chuckled, beard bouncing. Graceful, lethal, and careful. You can tell she's for nobility. It's written in the way she moves. Sophia's lips pressed together. She's dangerous, she said quietly. Not just because she's strong, because she's efficient. Even among royals, this level of control at E-rank is rare. Aiden Stromfong, Sophia ordered next. The image shifted to the plains where Aiden stood facing down a thunderhorn elk. Electricity crawled along the beast's antlers. It scraped a hoof, then charged the ground shaking. Aiden only grinned wider. Come on, then. He dropped his blade. Storm Fong slash. Lightning tore from his sword and crashed into the elk's charge. The impact ripped up the earth and lit the grass on fire. The animal staggered. Aiden didn't hesitate. Fire rushed along his blade. Ignite burst. His follow-up blow exploded in flame, ripping through the elk's chest. It crashed to the ground, smoking. Plus 100 points. Ronwell Hart slapped the table, laughing loud enough to echo. That's it. That's a fight. None of that tiptoeing around. Just hit it harder. Sarah sighed. He's draining himself. Look at his mana flow. And he's winded after just that. No discipline. Nathan shrugged with a faint smirk. Rough, but there's potential. The spirit's there. Sophia's gaze stayed cool. Spirit won't matter if he collapses in a real battle. He's talented but too impulsive. Edric William, she said. The projection shifted to the valley again. Edric stood, glowing in full armor, holy light pouring off him. Sky raptors circled overhead, shrieking. He raised his sword like he was on a stage. Grovel before the light. Radiance exploded upward, a blinding column that cut through the flock. Raptors disintegrated mid-flight, bodies dropping in smoking pieces. Plus 300 points. Some instructors turned their heads away from the glare. Flashy, Garrick Dawson grumbled. Overkill, wasteful, but gets the job done. Dorian Ford gave a small smile. The William family loves spectacle. He's a textbook example. Sophia's eyes were cool. And he's also a textbook narcissist, she said. His form is clean, but he spends too much just to look impressive. Keep that up, and he'll burn out before the exam ends. Ronwell waved a hand. Even burned halfway, that kind of brightness dominates anyway. Sophia shot him a look that made him shut up. Michael Willson, she said at last. The whole room seemed to lean in. The projections shifted to the forest, stopping at the entrance of a cave. Michael stood there, facing the darkness. Inside, something growled. Frost-laced air poured out. The Frostfang tiger stepped into view, its striped fur rimed with ice, eyes glowing cold blue. It roared. The ground shook. Michael's sword glowed faintly with mana. His posture was steady. Weight settled. No wasted motion. The tiger lunged. Its claws ripped through the air, wind and ice blasting forward like blades. Michael's body blurred. He vanished an instant before the claws hit. Trees behind him exploded into splinters instead. Shadow swap. Nathan muttered. Sophia's eyes narrowed. No, she said softly. That was space. The room fell dead silent. Boom. Michael reappeared behind the tiger. His blade shimmered, the air around it bending, lines of space itself warping for an instant as he swung. The strike bit deep. Blood sprayed across the snow. Space affinity? Sarah whispered. At this age, the tiger howled, frost surging outward in a wave. Michael raised his offhand. Ice surged up, forming a barrier that met the storm head-on. The blizzard shattered. Shards of ice scattered across the clearing. Then Michael moved. No flash, no wasted flourish. Every step, every swing was sharp and intentional. He pressed the beast down, carving away its strength piece by piece. The forest around them trembled from the force of their exchange. Finally, he planted his feet and lifted his blade overhead, mana surging into it. The edge shone, space warping visibly around it. Spatial sever. The air screamed. For a second, it looked like the world itself cut along his swing. The Frostfang tiger froze mid-roar. Then its body slid apart in two clean halves. Silence swept through the forest. Michael's shoulders dropped. He fell to one knee, breathing hard, sword tip quivering as the last of his mana bled away. His watch chimed. Plus 500 points. Michael Willson, 1930 points, rank number 1. No one spoke. Then Ronwell let out a breathy laugh that turned into a roar. That brat's insane. Space affinity in the entrance exam. Sarah still looked stunned. That level of spatial manipulation should be impossible at F rank. Even most B ranks can't stabilize it like that. Cedric slammed his palm on the desk, grinning wide. A monster. That boy's a walking disaster waiting to happen. Nathan's eyes were sharp, thoughtful. His basics are spotless. That isn't just a prodigy spamming skill. Someone drilled him hard. Every movement had a purpose. Alastair leaned closer to the image, his face unreadable. He moves like a veteran, he said quietly. That's not a student's rhythm. That's someone who's fought through real killing fields. Sophia Emberheart still hadn't moved. Her gaze was locked on the exhausted boy on the screen, kneeling in the snow beside a bisected tiger. Her lips pressed into a thin line. Michael Willson, just where did you come from?
Hey everyone, welcome to our channel, and thank you for your support. If there's a favorite novel on the channel and you want the next part, you're just one step away. Become a Patreon member and I can make it depending on your tier. Thank you for your attention.
The forest was deathly quiet. Michael's boots sank slightly into the damp soil as he moved, each step deliberate, careful not to snap twigs or disturb leaves. His sword hung sheathed across his back, the faint shimmer of frost clinging to the hilt like it was breathing with him. The dense canopy above filtered the light into uneven patches, making shadows dance across the undergrowth. It wasn't silence out of peace. It was silence out of fear. The forest was holding its breath. And then he heard it. Growl. Low, guttural, vibrating through the air. It wasn't just one. It was dozens layered on top of each other, faint at first, then clearer as he advanced. He paused, narrowed his eyes, and vaulted upward. His body coiled like a spring, and then, whoosh, he shot to the highest branch of an ancient oak. From there, he finally saw them. A mass of wolves, down below, prowling the clearing in front of a jagged cave entrance. Nearly 70 wolf-like monsters circled restlessly. Their black-gray fur gleamed faintly in the weak sunlight, and their eyes glowed with an unnatural yellow hunger. Freen wolves. Michael's memory clicked instantly. Common E-rank monsters. Always in packs. Wolf claw skill. Sharp bite. Enhanced coordination. Against 1 or 2. Manageable. Against 70? Suicidal. He crouched low on the branch, holding his breath, studying them. The air smelled of iron and musk, a predator's domain. And then, his gaze shifted deeper into the cave. At first, he thought it was just the shadows. But then the shadow moved, massive, broader than the others, with fur darker than midnight. Its breathing reverberated through the cavern, eyes gleaming crimson instead of yellow. Michael's heart sank. A line of blue text flickered before his vision. Farron Wolf mutated. Rank D. Skills. Wolf Roar Gray. Air/Green. He exhaled slowly. So it's not just a pack. It's a pack led by a mutated D-rank alpha. Perfect. Any normal F plus adventurer would have turned back immediately. Facing 70 E-rank monsters plus a mutated D-rank alpha was suicide. Even for Michael, head-on, it was impossible. But Michael didn't come here to fight head-on. He touched the cold hilt of his sword, his mind running calculations. 70 wolves. Coordinated attacks. The alpha would rip me apart in seconds if alerted. I can't fight them like this. He needed something new, something that could let him think faster, act smarter. His current set of skills wasn't enough. Michael clenched his jaw. System. Open creation function. A ripple of blue light appeared before him, forming a translucent screen hovering in the air. Creation function. Options. Skill. Arts. Weapon. Michael selected skill without hesitation. Another prompt flickered. Imagine the skill process in your mind. He closed his eyes. He pictured the battlefield. Wolves circling. Their movements, their growls, the twitch of their muscles before a strike. He imagined seeing not just the present, but the immediate future, branches of possible outcomes stretching before him. His mind running thousands of calculations in seconds. A state where instinct met probability. He whispered, something that lets me analyze, predict, and act with precision. To always choose the best possible move. The system hummed. Processing. 70%. 86%. 93%. 100%. Skill creation complete. Quantum analysis mind purple. Michael opened his eyes as the description appeared. Quantum analysis mind purple. Aspect. Mental/cognitive. Visual effect. A faint purple aura shimmered around his eyes, fractal patterns flickering across his irises. Description. The user enters a hyperanalytic state for 5 minutes, perceiving immediate futures as branching probabilities. Instinctively guided toward the highest success outcomes by calculating enemy micromovements, air currents, energy fluctuations, and environmental stress points. Active UEs, 2 of 2. Cool down, 2 hours. Michael exhaled, the corner of his mouth twitching upward. Perfect. The purple glow flared briefly in his eyes as he activated quantum analysis mind. Suddenly, the world slowed. Every wolf movement became clearer, the twitch of their ears, the flex of their paws, the rhythm of their breathing. He could see the way air shifted when one wolf inhaled too deeply. He didn't just see their movements. He saw the probabilities of what they were about to do next. Michael melted into the shadows of the branches, then activated Shadow Swap. His body blurred, dissolving into darkness and reappearing silently behind one isolated wolf. The wolf stiffened too late. SHHHK. A clean sword slash, precise to the neck, severed its life instantly. The body slumped without a sound. Michael vanished again, slipping between shadows. Another wolf. Another neck. Then another. Like a phantom, he danced across the clearing, his strikes surgical. No wasted movements. No unnecessary sounds. Wolves fell one by one before they even realized death had reached them. System notification. Freeing wolf slain plus 100 points. Freeing wolf slain plus 100 points. Freeing wolf slain plus 100 points. By the time he paused to breathe, 26 wolves lay dead. Their bodies collapsed silently in the underbrush. And the alpha hadn't moved from the cave. Michael smirked faintly. So far, so good. He scouted again from above, purple lines of probability dancing in his vision. A smaller group of 8 wolves lingered on the far edge of the clearing. He slipped through shadows, dropping silently behind them. Raising his hand, he summoned Frost Bullet. 6 shards of condensed ice shimmered into existence, each glowing faintly blue. Pew, pew, pew. Each bullet pierced Vital Point's eyes, throats, joints. Wolves collapsed without howls, their bodies freezing upon impact. He didn't stop. Another splinter group, this time 6 wolves. He cut them down with sword slash, his blade trailing sparks as it cleaved through legs, immobilizing them before finishing with precise strikes to the neck. The tally rose. Wolves fell. The pack was thinning. By the time Michael stopped, breathing hard, only 20 wolves remained, and the alpha still hadn't emerged. But he knew it wouldn't last. Michael crouched on a high branch, letting his mana recover for 15 minutes. Sweat dripped down his temple, and his muscles ached, but his eyes never left the cave. Then it happened. A deep, guttural roar shook the clearing. The remaining wolves stiffened, their eyes blazing. From the shadows of the cave stepped the mutated alpha. Its fur was darker than night, bristling with malevolent energy. Its crimson eyes locked on the corpses littering the forest floor, and its jaws opened in a snarl. A whoa! The wolf roar exploded outward, a shockwave of sound that made the trees tremble. Michael gritted his teeth as pressure slammed into him, his ice shield shimmering to absorb the brunt of it. Cracks spiderwebbed instantly across the shield. Boom! The shield shattered, shards of ice scattering like broken glass. The wolf lunged forward. Its claws swept air compressed into a crescent blade. Air slash. The ground ripped apart where Michael had been standing a second ago. Dirt and bark exploded into the air. Michael's body blurred as he rolled to the side, sparks flying as his sword met the aftershock of compressed wind. He clenched his jaw. This thing, it's on another level entirely. Purple flickers reignited in his eyes. Quantum analysis mind activated again, probability threads branching out before him. He could see possible futures, slashes that missed, claws that struck, his death replaying a dozen different ways. But the threads narrowed toward one slim line of success. Shadow swap. Michael vanished, reappearing behind the wolf. His sword descending in a frost-coated arc, sparks flew as his blade scraped across its hide, leaving a shallow wound. The wolf roared and spun, claws glowing with mana. Michael raised his hand, frost forge. His sword shimmered, coated in crystalline ice. He met the claw strike head-on. The impact rattled his bones, frost and sparks exploding outward. His mana flared dangerously low. His body screamed in exhaustion. But he had one chance left. Space affinity fused with Frostforge. The blade in his hand warped, icy mist swirling with faint distortions in the air. The edge looked unstable, as if reality itself bent around it. The wolf leapt, jaws wide. Michael roared back, pouring every ounce of mana he had left into his sword. Spatial frost slash. The world seemed to shatter as his blade cut through the alpha's body. Space rippled, ice spreading through the wound. The wolf froze mid-leap, its body split cleanly in two, then collapsed to the ground with a final thud. System notification. Farron Wolf. Mutated, slain plus 500 points. Michael fell to one knee, panting, his vision blurry. His sword trembled in his grip, frost evaporating into mist. Every muscle ached. His mana was completely drained. But he was alive, and he had won. The surviving wolves scattered into the forest, leaderless. Michael staggered into the cave, dragging himself deeper until the darkness embraced him. The air inside was cold, damp but safe. For now, he leaned against the stone wall, sliding down until he sat, sword resting across his lap. His chest heaved, exhaustion clawing at him, but a faint smile tugged at his lips. This will do as shelter for the night. Outside, the moon rose higher. The forest grew silent again, and in the heart of the cave, Michael closed his eyes, victorious over the first day of survival. The cave smelled faintly of iron and wet fur. The corpses of wolves had been dragged outside and buried beneath ice, their crimson trails frozen into jagged sculptures. Michael sat cross-legged just past the cave mouth, the Drakran sword laid flat across his lap, its blackened steel humming faintly like a heart refusing to rest. He exhaled, the vapor condensing into a white mist. His muscles burned, mana circuits still screaming from overuse. If he hadn't stabilized them with potions mid-fight, he would have collapsed hours ago. He raised a palm, and frost spread from his fingertips, crawling like crystalline ivy across the cave entrance. With a soft crack, 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 a jagged wall of ice formed, leaving only a small gap for airflow. The barrier glistened under the moonlight outside, like the maw of a sleeping beast, daring any intruder to step inside. Good enough, Michael muttered, leaning back against the wall. His stomach growled. He pulled a strip of dried meat from his pouch, chewing without enthusiasm. The taste was leathery, salted too heavily, but right now efficiency mattered more than taste. He tapped his smartwatch. The translucent blue hologram flickered into life. Ranking, number 1. Michael Willson, 9,260 points. Number 2. Leon Lionheart, 6,350 points. Number 3. Selena Valen, 5,110 points. Number 4. Edric William, 4,880 points. Number 5. Aiden Stromfong, 4,440 points. Candidates remaining, 126/360. Michael's brows furrowed. Too fast. His voice was quiet, but the cave walls carried it back to him. I'm widening the gap too early. They'll notice. The system's cold blue light reflected off his eyes. He remembered what happened in the game. Too much attention, too soon, always invited disaster. Yet he needed points. He needed the edge. He closed his eyes, focusing on his breathing, letting the mana within him circulate like a river over rocks. The hum of frost filled the silence, and for the first time since the trial began, he allowed himself to rest. Leon POV. Elsewhere on the island, the crunch of stone echoed across a rocky plateau. A lizard the size of a horse lunged forward, its body plated with scales harder than steel. Leon's blade flashed in the fading sunlight. Spark. Steel struck stone. Shards of rock burst outward. The creature hissed, its tail whipping like a club. Leon dropped low, fire surging along his blade. Lionheart sword style, second Fong, crimson Fong strike. The blade ignited, cutting upward in a burning arc. The rock lizard's armored chest split, magma-like blood spilling out before the monster toppled with a thunderous crash. Leon wiped sweat from his brow, chest rising and falling with heavy breaths. still taking too much stamina. He glanced at his watch. His points were rising steadily, but his eyes widened at the gap. Michael, 9,260. Leon, 6,350. He tightened his grip on his sword. That guy, he's widening the gap even more. A grin formed on his lips, sharp and eager. His heart thumped, not with envy but excitement. So you're not a pushover after all, Michael Willson. Fine, I'll catch up, no matter what. The wind carried away his laughter as he sheathed his blade and pressed deeper into the wilderness. Aurelia POV. The marshland stank of rot. Steam hissed as fire clashed against swamp water, illuminating the shadows. Aurelia spun, her crimson hair flowing behind her, fire gathering at her fingertips. Flame burst. A sphere of fire exploded outward, engulfing a cluster of goblins. Their shrieks echoed, cut short as their bodies dissolved into ash. Panting, Aurelia wiped her forehead. Her mana reserve screamed in protest, but more goblins emerged from the murk. Persistent pests. Her eyes narrowed. She formed another fireball, but staggered. Her vision blurred. Too much mana spent too quickly. Suddenly, clang, a blade came down where she stood. Aurelia twisted aside, fire flaring at her heels. Another student, a boy with a sneer and an iron spear, glared at her. Those kills are mine, noble girl. Aurelia's lips curled into a smirk. Really now? The next instant, the swamp ignited. Fire roared around her, her figure glowing like a goddess of flame. She dashed forward, her blade wreathed in heat. Spark! Their weapons clashed, light scattering across the swamp. Aurelia's smirk widened as her flames devoured his defenses. You picked the wrong opponent. Moments later, he lay unconscious, his smartwatch flashing red in elimination mode. Aurelia brushed ash off her shoulder, breathing heavily. And I still think of him in the middle of all this. TCH, she muttered, annoyed at herself. Edric POV. Elsewhere, a golden radiance split the night sky. Divine smite, the ground shattered as holy energy tore through monsters in a blinding wave. Dozens of creatures fell, their bodies disintegrated by pure light. Edric stood amidst the carnage, his armor glowing with gilded radiance, his sword resting casually on his shoulder. He looked down at the corpses with disgust. Pathetic, and they expect me to share this trial with peasants. Eric slashes down a beast with precise, furious strikes. His breathing is heavy but controlled. Ron, his loyal follower, runs up holding a glowing crystal tablet displaying the current rankings. Ron is panting. Eric, the rankings just updated. Eric wiping monster blood from his blade, impatient. Don't keep me waiting, Ron. Where do we stand? Ron hesitant. You slipped. Rank 4. Eric snaps his head around, eyes blazing. 4? Impossible. Who dares stand above me? Ron reading nervously. First place, Michael Willson, the commoner. Second, Leon Lionheart. Third, Princess Serena. And then, Eric's grip tightens on his sword, knuckles white. His jaw clenches with rage. Eric furious, muttering. Michael Willson, a peasant who crawled out of the dirt, now dares to claim first? And Leon, that bastard child, my family's shame, above me? And Serena? Humph, her royal blood must have bought her that place. Ron carefully said, Eric, the rankings don't lie. They've earned it. Eric cutting him off, voice sharp like steel. No, I'm the heir of the #1 family in the hunter world. The will of William does not bow to pretenders. This trial isn't over. They've only stolen the spotlight for a moment. Ron encouraging, yet cautious. Then what will you do? Eric looks up at the blood-red sky, smirking with cold determination. A dangerous aura flares around him. Eric low, venomous. I'll hunt. Harder. Faster. Smarter. Let them enjoy their ranks while they can. By the end of this trial, I'll remind the world why the William name stands above all others. He raises his sword, its edge gleaming with killing intent as another monster approaches. He charges forward, his rage fueling every strike. Ron under his breath, half in awe, half in fear. Eric William won't accept being anything less than number one. Surveillance room. The crystal walls of the surveillance chamber shimmered, projecting dozens of scenes across the air. Flickering images of sword clashes, firestorms, lightning strikes, and monster roars painted the room in chaotic hues. Professors and instructors stood in small clusters, eyes glued to their respective students. The atmosphere was tense, analytical, yet beneath it, a faint current of rivalry ran, as if each instructor quietly rooted for their bloodline or legacy. Nathan Pendragon stroked his chin, eyes narrowed as Leon's screen filled with sparks from his Crimson Fong strike. His sword play is sharper than last month's training report suggested. Nathan's voice carried a note of approval. The Lionheart sword style is awakening in him. Arnub's blood flows true. Ronwell Hart scoffed, folding his arms. Sword style or not, he burns stamina recklessly. He swings with fire in his heart, but not patience in his blade. He'll pay for it if he meets something beyond his endurance. Sarah Everhart adjusted her glasses, her tone colder. He's only 16. That much growth in this time frame is remarkable. Don't dismiss him too easily. On another screen, Aiden Stromfong roared as his sword crackled with lightning, cleaving a monster in half with reckless bravery. His laughter echoed even through the magical projection. Look at that boy. Garrick Dawson barked with a laugh, slapping the table. Skark Stromfang's heir, bold as his father, wild as a storm. That one has the spirit of a frontliner. Spirit, yes. Sarah's lips curved in a slight smile. But spirit alone gets you killed. He charges without thought. If he wasn't from Stromfang, he'd have died in his first raid. Alastair Greythorn leaned against the wall, his voice smooth, almost sardonic. Bloodline or not, the battlefield doesn't play favorites. Still, you can't deny his instincts. The scene shifted to Selena Valen. Her shadow affinity spread like a dark mist as she gracefully dismantled a band of monsters. Her movements were precise, almost regal. Adam Beckett, the magic theory instructor, clasped his hands together. Elegance. Refined control, sharp execution. Truly the discipline of royalty. That girl fights as though she were raised on a stage. Nathan frowned. Or pampered too long in a palace. Precision is admirable, but she lacks adaptability. She handles monsters, yes, but what about a clever opponent? Then Aurelia's scene appeared, her flames turning swampland into hellfire. The room grew warmer as the projection flared. Ronwell Hart smirked. The Miller girl, a prodigy with fire. Look at her unleash. She overextends. Sarah's tone was sharp. She has raw talent, but no restraint. Life affinity or not, if she continues like this, she'll cripple her own mana circuits before she reaches third year. Finally, Edric Williams' screen. Holy light rained down like divine judgment, monsters being erased in golden waves. Several instructors frowned. Cedric Irongill muttered first, voice thick with disdain. Overkill. That's not combat. That's spectacle. Garrick Dawson spat. Arrogant brat. He fights for dominance, not survival. You can see it in his eyes. He doesn't respect the battlefield. Yet a few instructors remained silent. The William family's reputation hung like a blade over their heads. To insult Edric outright was to risk political suicide. At the back of the room, Vice Principal Sophia Emberhart's eyes swept across all the feeds, her arms folded. She finally spoke, voice calm, yet resonant enough to cut through the bickering. Look closely. Leon Lionheart fights with justice. Aiden Stromfong with courage. Selena Valen with grace. Aurelia Miller with passion. Edric William with arrogance. Each carries the weight of their bloodline, but none yet carry their own name. The staff grew quiet at her words. Her gaze shifted briefly toward Michael's projection in the corner, where he sat silently in his cave, sword on his lap, frost sealing the entrance. Unlike the others, his screen showed no flare of spectacle, no grandiose slaughter, just stillness, calm calculation. Sophia's eyes softened, though her tone remained professional. And then there's the commoner, who fights like he has no need to prove anything. For a moment, even the instructors had no words. The crystal screens flickered, light playing across their thoughtful faces. At the far end, Principal Harold Crimson finally stirred, his deep crimson eyes surveying the room. He said nothing, but the faintest of smiles curved his lips. The silence that followed was heavier than any argument. Back in the cave, the night grew colder. Michael's frost barrier glittered faintly in the moonlight. He sat with his eyes closed, mana circulating steadily, Drakran's sword resting across his knees. The wilderness outside was alive with distant roars and screams of other students fighting, monsters hunting. But inside the cave, there was only silence. Michael opened one eye, gazing at the frozen barrier. The first night, he whispered. His breathing slowed, his mana began to stabilize, and the exhaustion of the day finally weighed down his eyelids. The survival exam had only just begun. The grassland stretched endlessly before her eyes, a sea of green blades that bent and swayed beneath the breath of morning wind. From a distance, it looked like a restless ocean, alive with movement, whispering with secrets. The faint cries of beasts echoed faintly across the plains, blending into the constant hum of cicadas, the rustle of leaves, and the low hiss of wind scraping across the tall grass. Selena Valen stood at the center of it all, as an island of fragile stillness in a world that refused to stop moving. Her once elegant figure, known to draw stares in every ballroom of the capital, was battered and stained. The crisp white and violet uniform of the academy clung to her body in tatters, slashed at the seams, streaked with dirt and blood. Her pale, porcelain skin bore smudges of grime, cuts like cruel scratches of nature's indifference. In her trembling hand, the Drager, her short dagger of royal make, etched with a crest only the Valens could wield, hung low, its blade dripping faint streaks of black luminescence. The shadows coiled around it, fading slowly into nothingness, remnants of the affinity that had kept her alive through this nightmare. Before her lay the dissolving corpses of the plains beasts, their monstrous bodies breaking apart into glowing motes of light, each fragment scattered into the wind, as though even death here was fleeting, a mere illusion granted by the Academy's trial system. Her breaths tore out of her lungs in sharp gasps, her chest heaving violently as if each intake of air burned. Her knees trembled beneath her, and only by leaning on the Drager did she keep herself upright. Her mana core throbbed in her abdomen, aching as if it had been twisted dry, wrung past its limits. The last of the F-rank monsters had fallen. Victory should have meant pride, yet no triumph swelled in her chest. Only emptiness, gnawing and bitter. Her thoughts wandered despite her effort to stay alert. Yesterday, they praised me as a prodigy. Today, I can barely stand. This trial, it doesn't spare even those born of royal blood. She bit her lip hard enough to taste iron. Pride pressed down on her shoulders as heavily as fatigue. For an entire night she had not slept, eyes straining wide in the dark. Her blade clutched so tight her fingers numbed. Every rustle of grass, every distant howl, had kept her spine rigid. I cannot falter. Father entrusted me with pride. A Valen must never bow. And yet, her eyelids fluttered with the weight of exhaustion. Her arms felt like lead. Her heart drummed painfully, each beat weaker than the last. Then she heard it. Rustle, rustle, crunch. The rhythm of footsteps. Not the skittering scamper of beasts. No, heavier, deliberate, human. Her dulled senses sharpened like honed steel. Adrenaline surged into her veins, forcing her body into focus. She raised her Drager, her stance instinctive despite trembling muscles. Her violet eyes narrowed at the shifting shadows between the distant trees. They emerged one by one. 6 of them, young men, clad in the Academy's uniform. Each bore weapons gleaming faintly under the morning sun. Their postures were firm, their eyes grim and resolved. Selena's heartbeat quickened. Candidates, she muttered under her breath. The tallest among them stepped forward. He brushed back his brown hair with the ease of a noble, raised to make gestures look effortless. A smile curled across his lips, polite, practiced. He bowed, low enough to signal respect, but not so low it lacked calculation. "Princess Selena," he greeted smoothly, "it is an honor to finally meet you. I am Rero Cassin, son of Viscount Heman Cassin." Her blade did not lower. Her back was straight despite the weariness threatening to break it. Her voice carried command, sharp even in exhaustion. "State your business." Rero's smile never faltered, though his eyes gleamed with sharper intent. "With due respect, we don't wish for conflict. But here, in the academy, there is no royalty, no noble titles, only cadets." Another boy sneered, stepping forward. His sword glinted as he raised it slightly. His eyes burned into her with raw ambition. "And if we want to climb the ranks, we must cut down even the highest. Be prepared, princess." Her grip tightened on her Draeger. Her chest tightened. "So, they've come for points." Selena, low biting. "You mistake mercy for weakness." Candidate 4 mocking said from behind. "Then show us your strength, if you have any left." The air grows taut. Selena steadies herself, though her knees shake. Her blade lowers slightly, angled for defense. Selena, with icy, commanding, said, "Very well. Come then. Let's see if ambition alone can cut through a Valen." The boys exchange smirks. One lunges forward, sword flashing toward her throat. Selena twists to evade her trial for survival, beginning in earnest. The air trembled. Without another word, one of the boys lunged, his sword cutting through the air toward her neck. Selena twisted, her body moving on instinct. The blade whistled past, missing her by inches. But then, crack! The ground erupted. Vines burst from the earth like snakes, wrapping around her ankle with vicious strength. Her eyes widened. Magic! She followed the energy's trail. Rero stood with one hand extended, faint brown light pooling in his palm. Vine warp, gray rank skill. So he was a mage with earth affinity. Her jaw clenched. She slashed downward, the Draeger's shadow-imbued edge slicing clean through the vines. But the sword came down again. She bent low, the strike grazing her cheek, leaving behind a thin, stinging cut. "I can't waste time." She pushed off the ground, her body a blur as she leapt toward the trees. Branches swayed beneath her weight as she landed high, her figure balanced with desperate grace. Relief barely brushed her chest when, thwip! Pain tore through her arm. An arrow had pierced her left bicep, blood spraying across the bark. Agony flared white-hot, her fingers spasming as her body lost balance. Crash! She hit the ground hard, air driven from her lungs in a ragged gasp. Her Draeger slipped from her grasp, clattering into the grass. Her vision blurred, stars dancing across her sight. She forced her hand to crawl toward the blade, but her arm shook violently, her strength draining with every drop of blood seeping into the soil. The 6 boys advanced, their shadows long and looming, closing in like predators circling prey. Her chest rose and fell with sharp, uneven gasps. Despair gnawed deep in her bones. Is this the end? I couldn't even last 3 days. I, Selena Valen, praised as a genius, reduced to prey. The cruel echo of her father's words rang in her mind. You are among the strongest of your generation, Selena. Only heirs like Leon, Aiden, and Edric could rival you. But here she was, outmatched, surrounded, broken by commoners. Her pride shattered. The truth pressed down harder than the pain in her arm. One of them stepped forward, sword raised high. Sunlight caught on its edge. His smirk was twisted, cruel. Selena's eyes burned. She closed them, her body stiff, bracing for the cold bite of steel. So this is it. My pride, my title, all meaningless. The blade descended. Clang! The cry of steel against steel exploded in her ears. Sparks burst before her closed eyes. Her eyes snapped open, and there, standing between her and death, was a figure. Golden hair, ablaze under sunlight. Crimson eyes that burned with defiance. His sword locked against her attackers, unyielding, unmoving. His stance was a fortress, his aura a lion's roar made flesh. Leon Lionheart. His voice was steady, reverberating with conviction. If you want to fight, his blade surged forward, forcing the boy's sword back, sparks scattering like fireflies. Then fight me. But you will not touch her. The six froze, instinct recoiling before the sheer weight of his presence. Selena's lips trembled. Her vision blurred, not from exhaustion this time, but from something she had never allowed herself to feel. For the first time, Princess Selena Valen felt what it meant to be protected. Her chest ached in an unfamiliar way, her pride yielding to a fragile warmth. Her heart whispered softly, almost unbelieving. Leon, 15 minutes earlier. The grasslands echoed with the harsh shrieks of goblins. Their green bodies lunged from the tall weeds, crude blades raised, yellow eyes glowing with malice. Leon Lionheart swung his sword in a fiery arc. Crimson flames roared along the steel, cleaving through the goblins with a burning slash. Flame slash blew. The impact scattered the monsters like leaves in a storm, fire eating into their ragged bodies until they collapsed into shimmering motes of light. Ding! Plus 50 points. Plus 50 points. Leon exhaled, wiping sweat from his brow. His crimson eyes burned with determination, though his uniform bore cuts and stains from battle. Not bad. That puts me just over 6,500. He muttered, sheathing his blade. Still, Michael's already far ahead. If I waste time. Ding! A new notification suddenly appeared before his eyes. Event quest. Save Selena Valen from elimination. Time limit, 16 minutes. Target location, 3 kilometers north. Reward, E-rank dungeon entry pass. Leon blinked. An event quest? His heartbeat quickened as he read the reward again. An E-rank dungeon pass. His lips curved into a rare smile. If I clear that, I'll gain far more points than just wandering around here. And more importantly, his grip tightened on his sword, his crimson eyes sharpening. I can't let someone like Selena Valen, a royal of Denmark, fall in a mere trial. Narrator's voice. Leon's system differed from Michael's. His was far more straightforward: to hunt monsters, earn system points, SP, then use them in the store to buy skills, potions, and upgrades. While Michael's path was filled with complex choices and hidden functions, Leon's was designed to nurture a hero who grew stronger through battle. And today, fate had given him a quest with meaning. With a deep breath, Leon's aura flared. His body shone with a golden glow as he activated Overdrive Gold. A surge of fiery mana exploded from him, his strength jumping 2 minor levels, pushing him to D-rank temporary power. The earth cracked beneath his feet as he sprinted north, grass bending violently in his wake. Present. We already saw Selena's desperate fall and near elimination in Chapter 20, as the boy's sword came crashing toward Selena's exposed neck. Clang! Sparks scattered like fireworks. Leon Lionheart stood between her and death, his blade locking the strike effortlessly. His golden aura radiated like a sun, the very air trembling around him. If you want to fight, Leon's voice was steady, commanding, then fight me. But you will not touch her. The boy staggered back, wide-eyed. The other candidates raised their weapons, expressions wavering as the pressure of Leon's presence bore down on them. Selena's violet eyes widened. Through her pain and exhaustion, her heart thudded violently in her chest. Leon, she whispered, almost inaudible. The moment Leon stepped in front of Selena, the 6 candidates froze. His golden aura radiated like a miniature sun, his crimson eyes sharp, commanding, and filled with unwavering resolve. 6 against 1, and still you quiver, Leon said calmly, lowering his stance. The ground beneath his boots cracked under the pressure of his overdrive. Come! Raro Cassin, face twisted in frustration, barked at his allies. Don't just stand there. Attack him together. 2 candidates, both swordsmen, rushed first. Their blades glinted in the fading light as they came from opposite sides. Clang! Clang! Leon parried, both in a blur. His sword deflected the left attacker, while his footwork angled his body just out of reach of the right. Spark! The sound of steel grinding sent sparks flying. Fast! Too fast! One of them hissed, sweat dripping as his arms shook under the pressure. Leon exhaled, his aura flaring. Lionheart sword style. First form, Crescent Fong. In a single sweeping arc, his flaming blade curved wide like a crescent moon. The sheer momentum blasted both swordsmen back, fire licking across their uniforms. They rolled in the dirt, coughing and groaning, eliminated in spirit, if not yet in system. "Don't falter," Rero snarled, thrusting his palm forward. Vine warp gray. Thick vines erupted from the soil, wrapping toward Leon's ankles. At the same moment, another candidate, an archer, loosed 3 arrows, one aimed at Leon's head, the other 2 at his chest. "Smart," Leon muttered. His sword ignited again. Flame slash blew. The fiery arc tore through the vines instantly, leaving ash drifting in the breeze. Without breaking stride, Leon angled his blade and sliced upward. Clang, clang, clang. All 3 arrows split apart midair, bursting into burning fragments that rained harmlessly around him. The archer's eyes went wide. He cut them. The 2 remaining melee fighters took their chance, flanking him with brutal swings. One sword shimmered faintly with earth reinforcement. The other's fists were coated in hardened stone. "Got him!" Clang! Leon caught the sword with his own, sparks dancing. The other's stone fist came barreling toward his side. Leon twisted his body just enough, letting the strike brush past his ribs. Then, with his free hand, he slammed his palm into the stone-coated arm. Crack! Gah! The candidate howled as pain surged through his forearm, bones shattering beneath Leon's enhanced strength. He tumbled to the ground, clutching his arm as the system began glowing faintly, elimination imminent. With for already downed or crippled, Leon's aura flared brighter. His stance shifted, blade gleaming with concentrated intent. Lionheart sword style, second form, Twin Fong. Whoosh! He blurred forward, his sword slashing in 2 consecutive strikes, so fast they left fiery afterimages in the air. The first cut disarmed the swordsman in front of him, sending his weapon spinning high into the grasslands. The second strike traced across his chest, burning the uniform without cutting flesh. The system flared red, marking him out. The boy collapsed, coughing, eyes wide in disbelief. One move and he couldn't finish. His consciousness faded as he was forcibly teleported out. Only Rero remained, his face pale, eyes wide. Sweat trickled down his temple as Leon slowly advanced, his sword still glowing red with fire. I'm a son of Viscount Cassin," he stammered, backpedaling. "If you touch me, my father." Leon's crimson eyes sharpened. His voice was like steel. "In the academy, there are no fathers, no titles, only strength." Rero screamed and threw his hands out desperately, conjuring the last of his mana. Dozens of vines shot up at once, writhing like serpents, wrapping to bind Leon completely. But Leon only stepped forward, his aura bursting violently. Overdrive, burst step, boom. The vines incinerated instantly as Leon flashed forward, his sword stopping just a hair's breadth from Rero's neck. The pressure of the flame singed his hair, sweat pouring down his face. Rero froze. His knees buckled. "I surrender," he croaked. The system flared, marking him out. The golden aura faded as Leon sheathed his sword. The 6 candidates were eliminated, their bodies whisked away in streams of light. The only sound remaining was Selena's ragged breath. Leon turned back to her, extending his hand. "It's over." Selena stared at him, stunned not just by his strength, but by the sheer majesty of his fighting style. Every strike was controlled, decisive, burning with justice. "Are you hurt?" His tone was gentle now, almost tender. Selena looked up at him. Her chest tightened, her pride warring with a warmth that blossomed inside her. She slowly took his hand, his grip firm, yet careful as he helped her stand. I, I owe you my life, she whispered. Her cheeks flushed faintly as she placed her trembling hand in his. Leon, thank you. For the first time, Selena Valen, the proud princess of Denmark, felt her heart stir for someone. High above, hidden within the shadows of the trees, a figure watched. Michael, arms crossed, leaned silently against the trunk. His eyes gleamed with quiet amusement. So the event triggered just like in the game. Selena's first bond with Leon. He exhaled softly, turning his gaze away. No need to interfere. This was meant for him. My path lies elsewhere. And with that, Michael vanished into the shadows once more. The frozen winds howled like wolves through the mountain peaks, whipping across jagged cliffs and carrying flurries of snow that stung the skin like 1,000 icy needles. The white wasteland stretched endlessly, broken only by shards of blue crystal jutting from the earth like jagged teeth, their surfaces shimmering faintly beneath the pale light of the winter sun. The world was bitter and merciless here. Every breath Lyra Braveheart took emerged as thick mist, curling before her lips before being devoured by the wind. Her cheeks flushed red, not from cold but from excitement. Her grin widened as her eyes fixed on the shadows lumbering across the snowfield. A pack of frozen bears, massive, thick-furred beasts with claws glimmering like shards of ice. Their eyes glowed with eerie blue light, mist pouring from their maws with each growl. Even F-rank monsters became terrifying in numbers, and 20 of them together was enough to send most cadets fleeing. Lyra planted her boots firmly in the snow, her staff spinning in her hands, humming with mana as sparks of fire and beads of frost clashed around it. Finally, she muttered, her grin stretching into something fierce and wild. She raised her voice, letting it echo proudly across the mountainside. Finally, something worth my time. Come on, fuzzballs, let's dance. Her laughter rang across the barren peaks, defiant and bold. The frozen bears answered with a unified roar, snow scattering from their maws like a miniature blizzard. Their heavy paws thundered against the frozen ground, cracking the ice with every step. The battlefield was set. The first bear lunged forward, its jaws wide, frost spilling from its maw. The air itself chilled, the ground beneath its paws shimmering with ice as it charged. Lyra smirked. Too slow. She slammed her staff into the snow and swept it upward. Fire blast. Whoosh! A pillar of searing flame erupted from beneath the bear's chest, engulfing its body in fire. The beast howled, its fur blackening as it rolled desperately across the ice, steam rising violently where flames met frost. Another bear lunged from her side, claws extended, crystalline edges gleaming like razors. Lyra pivoted sharply, staff cutting through the air. Water cutter. A crescent blade of shimmering water shot forward, slicing clean through the beast's paw. Blood sprayed across the snow like crimson ink on a white canvas. The bear collapsed, shrieking, its massive body shaking the ground. Lyra flicked her wrist, spinning her staff with one hand, her grin widening as adrenaline rushed through her veins. 2 down. Who's next? The pack answered, snarling, circling tighter. Their breath filled the air with an icy mist, the snow around them hardening into frozen spikes. Mana surged within her like twin rivers, one burning, one chilling. Most mages could only master one current. Lyra Braveheart wielded 2. She raised her hand, her eyes blazing with unrestrained thrill. Fire, arrows. 3 blazing bolts shot from her palm, cutting through the icy air with a hiss. They struck one bear's face, each arrow exploding on impact. The creature roared, stumbling backward as its eyes boiled in fire, its vision stolen. Another bear barreled toward her in rage. Lyra's grin turned sharp. Try me. She twirled her staff overhead, channeling a torrent of water mana through its crystal tip. A whip of pressurized water lashed out, cracking against the beast's snout with a sickening snap. Blood and ice shards sprayed outward as the bear staggered. The battlefield became chaos, flames clashing with frost, steam swirling in violent clouds. Every step Lyra took melted the snow beneath her, leaving trails of blackened slush. Her mana veins burned, her muscles strained from the constant switch between elements. Fire scorched, water sliced. She danced between them with raw instinct, her tomboyish grin never faltering. She wasn't just fighting, she was alive. The remaining beasts hesitated, their circle tightening, growls vibrating low in their throats. Blue eyes glared at her, wary now, sensing the danger. Lyra stomped her boot against the snow, cracks spiderwebbing outward. She spun her staff onto her shoulders, resting it there casually despite the sweat dripping down her brow. "What's wrong? You're supposed to be monsters, not scared little kittens," she taunted, laughter bubbling from her chest. "Come on, don't tell me that's all you've got." The challenge cut through the air like fire through paper. 5 bears roared and lunged together, desperate to overwhelm her. Their massive forms darkened the snow as they descended. Lyra's grin sharpened into something wild. "Perfect." She thrust her hand forward, mana compressing violently, unstable heat crackling. Firebomb! A sphere of condensed fire burst into existence above her palm, its surface rippling with unstable energy. She hurled it into the charging pack with reckless glee. Boom! The explosion ripped across the mountain, painting the frozen field in fire and fury. Snow melted instantly into steam, shockwaves sending ice and rubble flying. The bears' bodies were hurled into the air, their roars drowned beneath the deafening blast. Steam swallowed the battlefield, rolling across the ground in thick waves. The mountain shook, avalanches crumbling from distant cliffs. When the haze finally cleared, the snow was scorched black, fur and ice scattered across the ground. Half the pack lay lifeless, their crystalline claws shattered, their charred bodies smoking. Lyra stood at the center, staff planted firmly into the ground. Her chest rose and fell heavily, sweat glistening against flushed skin despite the frozen wind. Strands of her brown hair stuck to her damp cheeks as she lifted her chin proudly. Still standing, she muttered, wiping her face with the back of her hand. Her grin returned, feral and triumphant. "Guess that means I win." A faint chime cut through the silent aftermath. Ding! Points updated. A holographic display flickered before her eyes. Number 1. Michael Willson, 14,340 points. Number 2. Leon Lionheart, 11,270 points. Number 3. Edric William, 11,080 points. Number 4. Selena Valen, 10,010 points. Number 5. Lyra Braveheart, 9,810 points. Number 6. Aiden Stromfong, 9,740 points. Lyra blinked. Her victorious grin faltered. Fifth? After all that? You gotta be kidding me. She throws her arms up, pacing in the snow. I roast half a pack of frozen bears, nearly blow my mana veins apart, and they still stick me below Selena and Edric? TCH. She squints at the glowing list, lips curling in annoyance as she spots the top name. Her gaze locked on the name at the very top. Michael Willson, 14,340 points. An impossible gap. Who the hell is this guy? She muttered, lowering herself onto a snow-covered rock. Her staff rested across her shoulders like a blade, her body still trembling with the aftershock of mana strain. She scowled at the list, muttering under her breath. The memory of instructors whispering in hushed tones during the combat trial flickered across her mind. Surprise, praise, even awe. Michael Willson, 14,000 points. Ha, who even are you? Some hidden prince? A secret instructor's pet. She kicks a chunk of ice, sending it tumbling down the slope. Her laugh is sharp, reckless. No, doesn't matter who you are. If you're standing on top, then you're standing in my way. Her eyes dart down the list, locking on the names below Michael's. Leon, Edric, Selena. I know you three. You're strong, sure, but that just makes beating you even sweeter. Her grin returns, feral and unyielding. She grips her staff tight, the crystal tip still glowing faintly with residual heat. Her lips curled into a defiant grin, frustration mingling with raw thrill. I won't lose to some mystery guy. Not Leon. Not Edric. Not him. No one. She rose to her feet again, her silhouette framed against the blazing steam and glittering ice. Her laughter rang loud and wild, echoing across the snow-swept peaks. Lyra Braveheart doesn't settle for anything less than the top. The soft crackle of embers echoed faintly through the tunnel. Michael Willson stirred, blinking open his eyes to see the faint orange glow of his campfire dying down to embers. The walls of the cave still smelled of wolf fur and blood, remnants of the Farron pack he had massacred and claimed this place from. He stretched his arms slowly, back stiff from resting on uneven stone. Final day begins. Yes, today is the last day of survival trial. His voice was low, barely above a murmur, but it carried through the hollow cave like a whisper of steel. Yesterday's memory flickered through his mind. The scene of Leon Lionheart saving Selena Valen played vividly, though he hadn't interfered. Michael frowned, rubbing his temples. That event should have happened today. He leaned back against the stone wall, crossing his arms, eyes narrowing. But it happened yesterday, a day earlier. The crackle of the dying fire seemed to answer him with eerie silence. Butterfly effect. The timeline isn't fixed. Even though this world follows the game's events, my presence, my actions, are accelerating or shifting them. He sighed, fingers running through his dark hair, his eyes sharpening. That means every step I take ripples forward. I can't depend on memory alone. The script's gone loose. A grin tugged at his lips, though it wasn't one of joy. More like a predator savoring an evolving hunt. What a headache. This makes things both easier and far more dangerous. Michael sat cross-legged in the wolf den, fingers tapping on the smooth glass surface of his smartwatch. Click. The familiar holographic screen flickered to life, blue light casting shadows against the jagged cave walls. Academy Survival Module version 1.8. Functions. Real-time ranking display. Vital signs tracker. 3D terrain mapping locked. Inventory capacity, 2 cubic meters. Emergency beacon, 1 use. His eyes lingered on the last 2 lines. A smile, faint but sharp, tugged at his lips. 2 cubic meters of storage space in a wristwatch. For common students, this was revolutionary. They saw it as a miracle gift from the Academy, a symbol of how advanced the Crimson family's research had become. But Michael knew better. Space affinity. The entire function was a crude imitation of the true thing. To him, it wasn't a miracle, it was a reminder. The vice principal, Sophia Emberhart, was the mastermind behind this invention. A woman with genuine space affinity, one of the rarest attributes in existence. But unlike Michael, she hadn't reached instinctive mastery. She had used theory, calculations, and runic arrays to create something the Academy could mass-produce. He leaned back against the cold cave wall, fingers drumming on the steel rim of the watch. Sophia must know. She saw the cracks in the air when I fought the Farron wolves. The small distortions, they weren't normal frost magic. She'll connect the dots sooner or later. His jaw tightened, and if the principal joins in on that suspicion, he pictured Harold Crimson's piercing gaze from the surveillance room, the way the old man observed him without a word. Michael exhaled slowly, steam forming in the cave. What a headache! The watch wasn't just a gift. It was a leash, a method for the Academy to monitor them, to track their every move, their kills, their growth. And in his case, it was a magnifying glass, revealing anomalies he desperately wanted to keep hidden. Michael opened the inventory tab. Inside floated the neat, simplified icons of his supplies: dried rations, vials of water, spare cloth, wolf pelts, and a dagger taken from fallen cadet. Convenient, he admitted. No more hauling sacks, no risk of spoilage. A normal student would be overjoyed. But then his expression cooled. If I rely too much on this, I'll grow soft. The watch can be broken, taken, jammed. And if the Academy decides, they can restrict it with a single command. That was the truth no one else wanted to acknowledge. The watch wasn't theirs. It belonged to the Academy. Every function, every privilege was on loan. And Michael hated relying on leashes. He closed his eyes briefly, recalling the sensation when his frost attack warped during the wolf battle. The way the world folded around him. The way his blade cut not just flesh, but space itself. That was true space affinity. It dwarfed the watch's storage trick. To him, the 2 cubic meters was laughable. He could sense instinctively that his affinity held infinite horizons. But that was precisely why it was dangerous. If the Academy suspected he was ahead of Sophia Emberhard herself in this field, they would stop treating him like a student. They would dissect him politically, academically, perhaps even literally. Michael flicked the hologram shut, the watch dimming to black. He rubbed his temple, muttering softly, "Use it, but don't trust it." His gaze sharpened, reflecting the cold glimmer of determination. One day, when my control over space reaches its peak, I'll throw this Academy-made toy away. The wolf den fell silent again, broken only by the faint drip of water. He tapped again, bringing up the holographic rankings. The display flickered into existence. Number 1, Michael Willson, 17,260 points. Number 2, Leon Lionheart, 16,110 points. Number 3, Edric William, 15,730 points. Number 4, Selena Valen, 15,340 points. Number 5, Lyra Braveheart, 15,110 points. Number 6, Aiden Stromfong, 14,920 points. Number 7, Chris Blackthorne, 13,670 points. Number 8, Aurelia Miller, 12,780 points. Number 9, Maria Frosthart, 12,640 points. Number 10, Zach Sunwood, 12,470 points. Michael's reflection glimmered faintly against the hologram. Still first, a small smile curved his lips, but his gaze hardened almost immediately. Leon's catching up. Fast. He tapped the edge of the watch lightly, as if testing its weight. Edric, too. That bastard won't sit quietly while I'm ahead of him. And Selena, Lyra, even Aiden, none of them are slacking. His eyes lingered on Leon's name. Leon Lionheart, protagonist to the bone. He'll notice me sooner or later. Not with hostility, but with acknowledgement. Michael's reflection glimmers faintly over the hologram. His lips curve into a faint smile, but his eyes remain cold. Still first. For now. But the hunters are circling. Leon with his story. Edric with his pride. Selena with her stubborn will. Lyra with her chaos. Even the weak ones, they all dream of reaching this spot. His hand tightens into a fist, the hologram trembling faintly. But number 1 isn't a dream. It's mine, and I won't let anyone take it. Not Leon, not Edric, not anyone. Michael's smirk faded. That's just as troublesome. Michael crouched at the cave's mouth, elbows on his knees, eyes fixed on the silver line of the river glistening in the distance. The swallow sharks. He murmured, the name alone heavy with predatory weight. In the game, they were a nightmare. Not because of their rank. D-class monsters were already dangerous enough, but because of the environment. The river was their domain. Once you entered, you weren't fighting on land anymore. You were trespassing into an execution ground. He remembered it clearly. Not from his own runs, but from watching hours of gameplay when he still lived in his old world. A faint smirk tugged at Michael's lips. It was Art Dawn, wasn't it? Art Dawn, a mid-tier streamer at the time. Not particularly famous, but dedicated. He was known for one thing: completing hidden quests that others dismissed as impossible. One day, Dawn had attempted a punishment quest on the Academy Island, hunting the swallow sharks. Michael chuckled dryly. He raged for days trying to kill them, called the dev sadist for dropping sharks into a student exam zone. Back then, Dawn was restricted. His level was forcibly scaled down to E-rank stats for that quest. His audience spammed chat with throw in the towel and waste of time. But the man was stubborn. Michael leaned back against the stone, eyes half-lidded, as his memory pieced together the details. Dawn tried everything. Luring the sharks to the riverbank, they dragged him in instead. Firebombs to boil the water, too much mana, useless. Poison arrows, they dissolved on contact. For nearly a week, he threw himself at the problem. His chat laughed, donations rolled in purely to see him suffer. And then, a breakthrough. Not through killing, through crippling. Dawn noticed that the swallow sharks had a quirk. Their skin naturally repelled toxins. But if the river itself was contaminated, they couldn't resist. Michael's expression darkened as he muttered the list like a recipe. Loltical flower, a rare herb with paralytic pollen, usually hidden under shade near wetlands. Shadow wolf's nail, an alchemical catalyst, needed to bind the flower's toxins into water. Venus viper's skin, the most crucial. Its scales contained enzymes that dissolved resistances. When mixed with water, boiled, and poured back into the river, Michael whispered, it created the debuff. Poisonous water. He could almost see the game notification in his mind. Poisonous water. All aquatic creatures in contact suffer minus 70% to physical and magical stats for 10 minutes. The chat had gone insane back then. Donations flooded in. Dawn's name trended because he had found a method no one thought possible. But he was restricted. Michael muttered, eyes narrowing. That was the cruel part. The quest locked him at E-rank. Even with the sharks weakened, fighting them was a death sentence. Dawn barely survived by luring a single one to shallow waters, then using guerrilla tactics. It took him 6 hours to kill one. 6 hours and 3 deaths. And yet, he succeeded. Michael's lips curved faintly. That madman paved the way. And now, I'll use his discovery properly. Unlike Dawn, Michael wasn't shackled to E-rank restrictions. His stats, his mastery, and his instincts were sharper, more efficient. 10 minutes of weakness is all I need. He rose to his feet, tightening his gloves, eyes burning with focus. Step 1. Gather the materials. The flower would be simple if he searched carefully. The wolf and viper would take more effort, but neither were beyond him. Step 2. Prepare the mixture. Grind, boil, and bind. Step 3. Poison the river. Step 4. Hunt the sharks. He exhaled, mist steaming in the cold morning air. Simple, but not easy. His gaze flicked toward the sky, where the sun was slowly rising, painting the clouds gold. The others are busy fighting goblins, wolves, lizards, wasting stamina for scraps. He smirked, voice cold. I'll claim prey they can't even dream of touching. Michael slung his bag over his shoulder, adjusting his sword at his hip. Time was precious. He had the plan. He had the knowledge. Now he needed the materials. He stepped out into the snow, the crisp morning air biting against his skin. The forest beyond stretched dark and dense, hiding beasts and secrets in equal measure. Michael inhaled deeply, the frost stinging his lungs. His expression hardened. This world may shift. The butterfly effect may twist the script. But my advantage remains. His eyes burned with quiet determination. I know the paths, the shortcuts, the tricks the others don't. He stepped forward, each crunch of snow beneath his boots echoing like a war drum. This trial isn't just survival. It's proof. His lips curved into a cold smile. I will remain number 1, no matter what it takes. And with that, Michael Willson vanished into the wilderness, moving toward the hidden materials, toward the river of lurking fangs. The morning fog still clung to the grasslands, dense and rolling like a restless sea. Michael stepped out of the wolf den cave he had used as his base for the night, stretching his stiff arms and shoulders. His breath escaped in pale clouds, fading into the chill air. Today was the third day of the survival trial. By now, the Academy system clock showed 9 a.m. The trial would end in 9 hours at 6 p.m. sharp. The thought weighed on him. I'm leading now, but Leon, Edric, Selena, and Lyra are closing in. If I fall behind even once, I'll lose first place before the trial ends. He tightened his grip on the hilt of his sword. Then I don't fall. I keep moving. His target, swallow sharks in the Northern River. D-rank monsters, impossible for most cadets, but worth thousands of points if culled. The river lay nearly 12 kilometers north of his cave. To get there, he needed to cut through the forest, skirt around rocky hills, and keep his pace steady. If he stopped, he'd never make it before noon. Michael set out at a brisk pace, boots crunching across dew-soaked grass. He timed his breath, counting steps. The forest swallowed him after 20 minutes, dark boughs looming overhead, the air damp with moss and shadow. He pushed forward at a jog, not daring to linger. At 9:40 a.m., a low growl halted him. From the brush, a shadow wolf emerged, sleek and hungry, its crimson eyes glinting. Michael smirked faintly. Perfect warm-up. The wolf lunged. Michael's blade flashed in a perfect arc, sword slash. One strike. The beast fell mid-leap. Plus 250 points. He crouched, cutting away its obsidian nails with a dagger. His gloves stained with blood. He pocketed the nails before moving again. Time was precious. By the time he left the wolf's corpse behind, the sun was higher. 10 a.m. The trek deepened. The forest grew denser, the air thicker. Michael's path wound northward, each step measured. He climbed a rocky slope, vaulted across streams, and forced himself to keep a steady rhythm. He didn't slow even when fatigue pressed at his calves. At 10:40 a.m., he finally reached a riverside grove and found the silver-blue glow of a loltical flower blooming from a crack in the rocks. Its metallic scent lingered as he plucked it carefully. Step 2, he muttered, tucking it away. But the hardest ingredient was yet ahead. He pressed deeper into shadowed woods, where even birdsong had gone silent. At 11:30 a.m., he reached a wide clearing. The air grew heavy, the ground faintly trembling. His hand went to his sword immediately. The Venus viper slithered into view, 5 meters long, venom sizzling against the dirt where it dripped. Michael's gaze sharpened. D-rank, dangerous, but manageable. Purple fractals rippled in his eyes as he activated quantum analysis mind. 5 minutes of heightened calculation. The viper lunged. Michael blurred into motion, shadow swap. He reappeared to its flank, firing ice missiles in quick volleys, shards clattering against scales. Venom sprayed. He countered with ice shield, hissing acid gnawing at frost. Now, he lunged, sword slicing where quantum analysis guided, its underside. The blade ripped open flesh. The viper screamed and collapsed. Plus 500 points. Michael exhaled, wiping sweat from his brow. Third piece done. Carefully, he stripped a patch of venomous hide and packed it away. The stench clung to him as he continued. By the time he reached the Northern River, it was 12:15 p.m. His legs ached from the distance, but he pressed on. On the bank, he built a crude alchemy kit from stones. Shadow wolf nails ground into powder. Loltical flower petals crushed to a metallic paste. Venus viper skin shredded, its fluids mixing into the brew. When he poured river water into the bowl, the mixture hissed, glowing a poisonous green. Mist rose faintly. Ding. Special item created. Poisonous water mixture. Effect. Weakens aquatic beast stats by 70% for 10 minutes. Michael smirked, just like the streamer described. He poured the mixture into the river. The surface shimmered briefly, then darkened as poison spread downstream. At first, silence. Then the water churned violently. Fins broke the surface, slicing through like scythes. Swallow sharks emerged. Massive, horse-sized predators with serrated jaws. Even poisoned, their aura radiated dread. Michael's hand tightened on his blade. Frost gathered across the steel, his breath steady despite the storm rising in the river. He glanced at the system clock. 3 p.m. 3 hours until the survival trial ended. 10 minutes to finish this fight, he murmured. And 3 hours to hold my rank until the end. The water erupted. The first shark lunged, its gaping maw wide enough to devour him whole. Michael planted his foot, stance unyielding. His sword gleamed cold. If I can't kill them now, I'll lose everything. Steel clashed with teeth as the hunt began. The river boiled with unrest. Foam, bubbles, and the sound of thrashing water echoed across the valley like the roar of a waking beast. Michael stood on the jagged bank, his blade drawn, his reflection distorted by the darkened surface. The poison he had brewed, shadow wolf nails, loltical flower, Venus viper skin, was already at work. The current shimmered faintly, green mist rising off the surface before dispersing in a breeze. But it wouldn't last. 10 minutes. No more. Michael clenched his jaw, knuckles whitening against the hilt of his sword. 10 minutes to hunt apex predators. 10 minutes to decide if I stay at the top or drown. The water exploded. A massive fin cut through the air like a spear, droplets raining down in glittering arcs. A swallow shark burst forth, its maw yawning wide enough to swallow him whole. Rows upon rows of serrated teeth caught the sunlight, dripping river water and venomous saliva. Michael's body moved before thought, his feet planted deep into the soil, sword drawn in a rising arc. Clang! The blade met the beast's lower jaw, sparks hissing as steel clashed against bone. Michael twisted his stance, sliding under its shadow. Slash! The sword cleaved upward, severing muscle along the gills. Blood sprayed, warm against his cheek. The shark writhed, crashing back into the river with a thunderous splash. Plus 1,000 points. A holographic chime echoed faintly in his vision. Michael didn't celebrate. He only muttered 1 down. Countdown, 9 minutes left. The water churned again. More fins, 3 this time, sliced through the surface, circling like wolves around a wounded stag. Michael exhaled through his nose. Good. Come together. He thrust his palm outward. Ice mana surged, freezing mist swirling. Ice spears. 3 jagged lances of frost shot forward, piercing into the river's surface. The water erupted as 2 sharks thrashed up in pain, their fins shredded by crystal shards. But the third avoided the strike, bursting straight at him. TCH. Michael raised his sword just as the monster crashed onto the bank, earth shaking beneath its weight. The impact hurled dirt and stone into the air. Its teeth lunged for his torso. Michael twisted, rolling across the mud, blade dragging sparks as it met the creature's teeth. His boots dug deep as he pushed, muscles burning. Die! He shoved the sword up its throat and ripped forward. Flesh split. The shark convulsed, blood drenching his gloves. Plus 1,000 points. His lungs heaved. 8 minutes left. Not far from the riverbank, 2 figures watched from the treeline. Their breaths were steady, their auras carefully concealed. Selena Valen's violet eyes narrowed, her lips parted slightly in disbelief. Beside her, Leon Lionheart's crimson gaze burned like coals, but his posture was still. Neither spoke, neither moved. They simply watched Michael carve through monsters that most cadets would never dare to approach. The river writhed violently. 5 fins at once. The weakened sharks, driven mad by poison and hunger, rushed together. Their bodies collided, fighting for the chance to devour prey. Michael cursed under his breath. 5? This is insane. But he couldn't run. Not now. Not with the timer bleeding away. He dropped low, palms slamming against the ground. Ice domain. The riverbank froze outward, jagged spikes of frost rising like teeth from the earth. Steam hissed as poison water met sudden cold. The sharks lunged regardless. One vaulted over the ice, maw descending. Michael met it mid-air, his sword gleaming with frost. He carved straight through its skull, momentum carrying him to the ground in a roll. Plus 1,000 points. Another burst from the side. He spun, releasing a fire burst point blank. Boom! Flames engulfed its face, blinding it. Michael leapt, driving his blade deep into its eye. Blood boiled, and the beast collapsed in flames. Plus 1,000 points. 3 remained. Countdown. 6 minutes left. Michael's breath came ragged now, his mana veins aching with every cast. Switching between frost and flame was like tearing his body apart. But he had no choice. This battlefield demanded both. The remaining sharks circled. Their movements were sluggish but coordinated, weaving in a deadly triangle around him. Michael spat blood onto the ice. Come in. The first lunged, he sidestepped, cleaving its fin clean off. The second came from behind. He spun, releasing a crescent arc of water magic. Water cutter. The blade of water sliced through its exposed gills, spilling crimson across the snow-white ice. Plus 1,000 points. The last one hesitated, thrashing violently, jaws snapping at empty air. Michael's eyes sharpened. Fear. Even poisoned beasts feel it. He surged forward, every muscle screaming. With a roar, he leapt onto its back, blade plunging down again and again until it stilled. Plus 1,000 points. The water fell silent for a brief moment, only the sound of Michael's ragged breath filling the clearing. Countdown. 4 minutes left. The surface stirred again. 2 more fins. Larger. Faster. Michael's eyes widened. Alpha pair. These weren't just weakened, even poisoned. They radiated killing intent far sharper than the rest. 4 minutes left, he muttered, wiping blood from his brow. No retreat. The first alpha shark erupted from the river like a cannonball. Michael barely dove aside, the force of its crash splintering ice like glass. The second surged behind, water erupting in a deadly geyser. Michael formed an ice shield. SSSSHHHH. Venom sprayed, hissing as it ate into the ice, cracking it apart. Michael rolled, frost smoke burning his lungs. His sword arm trembled, but his eyes were alive with sharp focus. This is it. Push everything. The first shark lunged again. Michael's mind flared, quantum analysis activated. Probability lines danced across his vision, every twitch of the beast's muscle highlighted. He dodged by a hair's breadth, sliding across wet stone, sword flashing upward. Crack! The blade sliced its underbelly, blood raining like a storm. Plus 1,000 points. 3 minutes left. The last alpha thrashed wildly, enraged at its fallen kin. It lunged low, body whipping like a battering ram. Michael's body was hurled into the river. Cold swallowed him. He gasped, eyes burning, struggling as the shark's silhouette swam straight toward him like a living torpedo. Not yet. He thrust his palm forward, mana spiraling. Ice coffin. The water froze instantly around the shark, trapping it mid-lunge. Its body writhed against the prison, cracks splintering across the ice. Michael swam forward, lungs screaming. He drew his sword, frost gathering along its edge. With a final surge of strength, he slashed down, the ice shattering in an explosion of blood and crystal. The beast went still. Plus 1,000 points. Countdown. 40 seconds left. Michael dragged himself back onto the riverbank, coughing violently, blood and water dripping down his chin. His vision blurred, body trembling. The river stilled. No more fins. He collapsed to one knee, blade buried into the mud to keep himself upright. All of them. Ding. Points updated. The board flashed before his eyes. Number 1. Michael Willson, 26,330 points. Number 2. Leon Lionheart, 17,560 points. Number 3. Edric William, 16,930 points. Number 4. Selena Valen, 16.540 points. Number 5. Lyra Braveheart, 15,810 points. Number 6. Aiden Stromfong, 15,220 points. Number 7. Chris Blackthorne, 14,870 points. Number 8. Aurelia Miller, 14,480 points. Number 9. Maria Frosthart, 14,340 points. Number 10. Zach Sunwood, 14,270 points. Michael exhaled, bitter laughter escaping his lips. Still first by a mountain, his head drooped, exhaustion finally catching him. From the shadows of the trees, Leon and Selena stood frozen in silence. Selena's lips trembled, her pride shaken. He alone against all that. Leon's crimson gaze never left Michael's battered figure, his fist tightening. He's not just strong. He's terrifying. Selena swallowed hard, the words bitter in her throat. And he's ahead of all of us. By more than double. Leon finally turned, his cloak swaying as he stepped back into the shadows. Then we have no choice. Before this trial ends, we'll have to face him. Selena's eyes lingered on Michael's collapsed form one last time, her heart conflicted. Then she followed Leon, vanishing into the forest. Michael never knew he wasn't alone. The river carried silence once more. The silence of the riverbank didn't last. A sudden blaze of light engulfed the world. It poured down like a storm, searing away blood, ice, and the shattered battlefield. Michael had no chance to resist. The teleportation circle activated, and his battered body was swallowed by radiance. When his vision cleared, the forest was gone. Stone stretched beneath him, smooth marble tiles, pale and cold against his boots. Around him, hundreds of cadets materialized in bursts of light, some collapsing to their knees, others staggering upright, gasping for air. The smell of blood, sweat, and smoke clung to their bodies, lingering even though the nightmare of the trial had ended. Michael's gaze lifted. He stood inside an enormous coliseum. Towering pillars encircled the arena, carved with ancient runes that pulsed faintly, as if recognizing their arrival. Above, endless rows of empty seats stretched skyward into shadow, built not for comfort, but for spectacle. The sheer scale pressed down on the cadets, as though they had been dropped into the stage of history itself. The survival trial was over. A ripple of power split the air. From the heavens descended a streak of crimson light, blazing across the Colosseum like a meteor. It struck the center of the arena and coalesced into a tall figure. A woman. She stood with commanding poise, clad in obsidian robes embroidered with threads of golden flame. Her fiery hair cascaded like molten copper, and her sharp eyes burned with the heat of authority. Vice Principal Sophia Emberhart. The air itself seemed to bow to her presence. Cadets straightened immediately, fatigue forgotten, spines locked in fearful respect. Even the proud heirs of noble houses didn't dare meet her gaze for long. Congratulations. Her voice cut through the air, clear and resonant, carrying to every corner of the Colosseum. To those who stand here now, you have survived the entrance trial of Arcadia Academy. A ripple of emotion surged through the gathered crowd. Some cadets exhaled in raw relief, dropping their weapons and falling to their knees with trembling laughter. Others clenched their fists, eyes shining with pride at their survival. Many simply stood in stunned silence, still processing the nightmare they had endured. Sophia raised a single hand. Instantly, the murmurs died. Tomorrow will be a day of rest, she continued, her gaze sharp and unyielding. Heal, recover, and prepare yourselves. For what you faced in the forest was nothing but the first step. Arcadia will test you in ways far greater than this. She snapped her fingers, and golden light erupted above her head. Lines of script etched themselves into the air, expanding into a massive, glowing board visible from every corner of the Colosseum. Now, Sophia declared, let us see how you fared. The crowd held its breath. One by one, names carved themselves into the air, glowing bright against the marble gloom. Number 1. Michael Willson, 26,330 points. Number 2. Leon Lionheart, 17,560 points. Number 3. Edric William, 16,930 points. Number 4. Selena Valen, 16,540 points. Number 5. Lyra Braveheart, 15,810 points. Number 6. Aiden Stromfong, 15,220 points. Number 7. Chris Blackthorne, 14,870 points. Number 8. Aurelia Miller, 14,480 points. Number 9. Maria Frosthart, 14,340 points. Number 10. Zach Sunwood, 14,270 points. Gasps, shouts, and whispers exploded across the arena. 26,000? That's almost 10,000 higher than second place. He's insane. Every eye turned toward the same figure. Michael Willson, Leon Lionheart. His crimson eyes stay fixed on Michael's name. His jaw is rigid, hands loose at his sides but trembling faintly. Almost 10,000 ahead. That gap isn't skill alone. It's survival instinct sharpened like steel. He's no noble, but he fought like one. A beat passes. Leon exhales through his nose, controlled, though his pride stings. But the Lionheart name won't bow. My bloodline won't lose. Not for long. Leon quietly, almost to himself. You'll bleed that let out sooner than you think, Michael Willson. Edric William. Edric's handsome face contorts as his eyes rake over the board. His fingers twitch at his side. Rin Bellin, his loyal lackey, stays silent at his shoulder. How dare they cheer for him? A nameless brat, climbing above me, above the William family? Impossible. I did everything right. I executed perfectly. So how? His teeth grind, his voice sharp, low enough for only Rin to hear. Remember this, Run. Commoners shine bright only when nobles allow it. He's an anomaly, one that won't last. Run glances at him. Of course, Edric. But Rin's silence after says more than words. Even he doubts it. Selena Valen. Her violet eyes linger on Michael's glowing numbers, her lips parted slightly. She stands tall, back straight, but her hands are clasped too tightly in front of her, knuckles whitening. Even after all my training, all my spells, all my precision, I'm still that far behind. I should feel anger. I should feel shame. But memory stabs her as Michael's standing, defiant, bleeding, teeth gritted against the shark's frenzy. Her heart betrays her with a faint, unsteady thrum. Selena spoke softly, under her breath. Unyielding. She shuts her eyes, forcing her expression calm again. No one must see the flicker of admiration burning beneath her restraint. Lyra Braveheart. Hands on her hips, sweat still drying on her flushed face. She whistles low at the number, grinning crookedly. Lyra aloud, casual but loud enough for others nearby. 26,000, huh? Guess someone was busier than me. She laughs, but when her eyes stay locked on Michael's name, her grin wavers just a bit. Fifth isn't bad. Not weak anymore, but still not first. And him? He's not just strong. He fought like someone who's lived this before, like he knew the rules of survival. She cracked her knuckles, forcing her grin back. Good. That's the kind of fire I want to chase. Aiden Stromfon. The wolfish air barks out, booming laughter, sweat still clinging to his ash-blonde hair. Aiden aloud with grinning, he spoke. That guy's a beast. Makes sense. Only monsters crush monsters. But as the laughter fades, he watches Michael's back, the way the boy doesn't raise his chin or bask in it. He doesn't even celebrate. He just walks away. Damn, that's the kind of weight I want to carry too. The kind that makes laughter real, not forced. Chris Blackthorne. His gauntlet fists flex, his expression calm but shadowed. Father will sneer. Seventh? The Blackthorne heir? He'll say my shadows were weak. But no, shadows linger. They outlast fire, water, light. Michael's blaze burned bright today. But shadows wait. A faint smirk tugs his lips. When the light falters, I'll still be here. Aurelia Miller. Her golden eyes narrow, arms crossed. Her crimson hair is damp, strands sticking to her face. That wasn't brute force. He cut clean, efficient. Every strike was planned. Like he knew the map, the monsters, the traps. Her eyes sharpen. A flicker of unease crosses her, almost as if he already knew what awaited him. Maria Frostheart. Her breath frosts in the air. Her lips press into a thin line. The ice around her boots cracks faintly before she stills it. Ninth. Unacceptable. The Frostheart name doesn't scrape the bottom of the top 10. Next time, I'll freeze the board until my name's at the top. The arena isn't silent. It breathes with hundreds of tired, jealous, fearful voices. Like a crowded locker room after a brutal tournament. 26,000? I barely hit 400. He's not human. He's a monster in human skin. No, I heard he fought the sharks alone. Maybe he just wanted to live more than the rest of us. If that's the standard, we're all already dead. Class A? Forget it. No way I'm competing with freaks like them. Cheating. Has to be cheating. No commoner climbs that high. No way. What if it isn't cheating? What if he's just that good? Then we're screwed. The whispers ripple, some in awe, others in despair, others sharp with venom. The Colosseum feels like a powder keg, admiration and envy mixing like oil and flame. The ranking board burns in the sky. Gasps ripple across the Colosseum. Michael feels every gaze digging into him. Michael didn't return their gazes. He stood still, his clothes still damp, crusted with blood, his body a map of bruises. The golden glow of the board painted across his weary face. 26,000. They're all staring like I just turned into a god. If only they knew the truth. That I almost drowned in my own blood. That if I'd slipped even once, I'd be a corpse at the bottom of that river. His jaw tightened, though not in pride. To him, the numbers were no triumph. They were a reminder. He clenched his fists, breathing slow, steady, deliberate. Every muscle screamed with fatigue. Every wound throbbed. What he needed wasn't glory. It was silence. His jaw tightens, lips dry. They see numbers. I see how close I came to losing everything. A whisper from the crowd cuts through. He must have cheated. Another. He's not human. Michael exhales slowly, refusing to meet their eyes. Michael murmurs under his breath. Cheated? If only it were that easy. His hands curl slightly, not in anger, but from the phantom ache of swinging his blade one time too many. Leon's not far behind. Edric's pride will push him harder. Selena's watching me too closely. Lyra, she'll chase anyone ahead of her just for the thrill. They'll all come. One way or another, they'll all come for me. The board flickers again. The glow reflects in Michael's tired eyes. His lips press into a thin line, his breath fogging faintly in the cold Colosseum air. Michael murmurs, "This isn't a victory. It's a countdown." He turns, ignoring the stares, shoulders heavy but unbowed. Each step feels like dragging lead, but he forces them steady, measured. No one can see him stumble. Not here. Michael turned his back on the board and walked toward the exits of the Colosseum. The golden board burns above, casting light across hundreds of exhausted cadets. Gasps and whispers ripple like a storm. Sophia watches silently, eyes scanning every flicker of pride, envy, fear. There it is, the first fracture. Some stand taller, some shrink into themselves. The board does more damage than the monsters ever could, because here, they see their worth written in numbers. Her gaze lingers on Michael Willson, the boy standing apart, his clothes blood-stained, his eyes not lifting in pride. And him, the anomaly, a commoner with no banner, no bloodline, yet he carries himself like someone who's already lived through wars. No celebration, no arrogance, just exhaustion. Dangerous. The Academy will devour him, or he will devour it. Her eyes shift to Leon Lionheart. His pride is cracked, but not shattered. He glares at the board as if it insulted his birthright. Leon, your bloodline's arrogance burns hotter than your flame. But fire is either tempered into steel, or it consumes itself. Which will you choose? Then to Edric William, sneering, venom twisting his words as he leans toward his lackey. Edric, a snake hissing at shadows. Your pride is brittle. You see Michael as filth because it's easier than admitting he surpassed you. Such minds break early, or they become dangerous in ways that can't be measured. Selena Valen catches her attention, her violet eyes fixed, trembling faintly. And Selena, even royalty quivers. I see it in your gaze. Not fear, not hatred. Something softer. That softness will either be your downfall, or his. Her sharp gaze flicks across Lyra, Aiden, Aurelia, Maria, each fire, each flaw. A sea of futures standing before her, all fragile, all burning to prove themselves. Arcadia is a crucible. They think today's trial was survival? No, this is survival, the crushing weight of comparison, of bloodlines, of being seen. Most will break here, in their own minds, long before their bodies fail. Her lips curl into the faintest, private smirk, gone before anyone notices. And those who don't break, those who learn to walk through envy, pride, and despair without flinching, those are the ones worth shaping, worth forging. She raises her hand, her voice about to thunder again, but inside her flame burns quieter, almost grim. 26,000. They're all staring like I just turned into a god. If only they knew the truth, that I almost drowned in my own blood, that if I'd slipped even once, I'd be a corpse at the bottom of that river. Let's see which of you survives being seen. Sophia Emberhart's voice thundered once more, halting the restless crowd. Remember this well. Surviving the trial is only the beginning. Even those who fell have passed. Their effort will not be discarded. But your rankings, her gaze cut like a blade across the cadets, will decide your placement. Golden fire blazed at her eyes. Tomorrow evening, you will learn your final marks. Only the top 20 will enter Class A. The rest of you, earn your place or be left behind. The glowing board dissolved into golden dust. Sophia's cloak swirled as she turned, vanishing into the sky in a flare of crimson light. The arena was silent, the weight of her words sinking deep. Michael pushes through the doors of the common hall. Lantern light spills over rows of cots, where cadets collapse, some laughing, some whispering, some too dazed to speak. The air reeks of sweat, blood, and iron. The Academy's common hall stretched long and warm, lanterns burning in even rows across polished stone. Cadets collapsed onto the rows of cots, some snoring the moment their heads touched the pillows, others whispering frantically about the rankings. Envy, disbelief, and excitement buzzed in the air like static. It smells like a battlefield hospital. No one here is celebrating. They're just alive. And that's enough. A younger cadet stares at him as he passes, eyes wide, lips parting to whisper. That's him. Michael doesn't turn, doesn't acknowledge it. Let them talk. Let them stare. Tomorrow, the same mouths will curse me. Or cheer. It doesn't matter. None of it helps me survive. Finally, he lowers himself onto a cot. His body gives out like a snapped bowstring. His sword rests against the bed frame. His chest rises and falls in slow, deliberate rhythm. Michael murmurs to himself, almost too soft to hear. Not number one. Just alive. Sleep takes him instantly. For once, there are no strategies, no numbers, no plans. Just the silence of exhaustion. The Colosseum has emptied. Golden embers of her magic still flicker faintly where the ranking board dissolved. Sophia stands alone on a high balcony overlooking the Academy grounds. The night air is sharp, carrying silence where earlier there had been a storm of voices. 26,000 points. Nearly 10,000 above Leon Lionheart. That gap should be impossible, and yet he carved it as if fate itself bent to his will. Her hand lingers on the balcony's stone rail. Flames dance faintly along her fingertips, restless, mirroring her thoughts. Michael Willson, a boy with no family crest, no legacy, no resources, and yet he moved through the trial like a veteran soldier. Not with arrogance, not with desperation, with certainty, as if he knew. She exhales, the fire curling into smoke. The others I can read. Leon, pride and rivalry. Edric, fragile, ego hiding venom. Selena, royal grace quivering at the edges. Lyra, reckless joy in the fight. Even Aiden, wolfish hunger. All predictable, all normal for their kind. Her gaze sharpens, remembering Michael's face under the board's glow, tired, quiet, unreadable. But him? No pride, no boasting. Only silence, only restraint. That is not how 16-year-old boys react to triumph. That is how survivors of war react to survival. Her hand tightens on the railing, fire sizzling against cold marble. What are you, Michael Willson? A prodigy? A liar? Or something the Academy has never seen before? She lets the flames die, her expression cooling into steel. The headmaster will want a report, and I will give it. But this one I'll watch myself. Closely, her cloak swirls as she turns away from the balcony, crimson light trailing in her wake. For all her authority, a single thought lingers, sharp and quiet as a blade. If Michael Willson is not what he seems, then Arcadia's future may burn brighter or darker than even I can control. The warmth of sunlight brushed across his skin. Michael slowly opened his eyes, the faint rays of dawn slipping through the curtains and painting the dormitory room in gold. For a moment, he lay still, listening to the faint hum of voices in the common hall outside, the creak of footsteps, the distant clang of weapons from the Colosseum far away. Then, for the first time in days, he smiled. It's been 2 days since I felt the comfort of a bed. He shifted, stretching his limbs against the soft sheets. No damp earth beneath his back, no blood-soaked ground, no cold winds gnawing at his skin. Just a mattress, clean linen, and the quiet rhythm of morning. Rising slowly, Michael padded toward the window. His hand brushed against the curtain, and with a gentle pull, light flooded the room. The sun was climbing, spilling brilliance across the sky, the rays warm and sharp against his face. He exhaled deeply, a sigh of relief. A month. Exactly 1 month had passed since his arrival in this world. A month of relentless struggle. Training in secret before dawn. Delving into that hidden F-rank dungeon. Bleeding for every step inside the trial. Claiming Darken, the divine-ranked blade, at a cost that still lingered in his muscles. And finally, the survival trial itself, where he clawed his way to the top, earning the #1 rank. It had been chaos, pressure, endless tension. But now, standing in the light of a calm morning, it was the first time he allowed himself to feel relieved. He let out another long sigh, the weight on his chest loosening, if only slightly. The clock read 5:40 a.m. when Michael splashed his face with cold water, brushed his teeth, and laced his track suit. His body still ached faintly, but rest had dulled the worst of it. The air was cool and sharp when Michael stepped outside, the faint mist of morning clinging to the paved road like a lingering dream. He stretched once, rolling his shoulders, then began to run. His body slipped easily into rhythm, the sound of his steady footfalls echoing faintly against stone and grass. 10 kilometers. That's the goal. The first few minutes were quiet. The Academy's vast grounds sprawled out before him. Open plazas, marble walkways, patches of green gardens, and training fields already alive with movement. Michael kept his pace, neither rushing nor slowing, letting his body warm up naturally. His muscles, though healed from the survival trial, still carried faint traces of strain. Every pull of his lungs reminded him of how close he'd pushed himself to the limit only yesterday. Yet, strangely, he felt alive. This is different from the forest. Running here, there's no killing intent behind every corner. No monsters lurking in the shadows. It's almost peaceful. The thought was comforting, but only for a moment. Ahead, a group of cadets in crisp academy training suits jogged together, their movements in perfect sync. The insignia stitched into their uniforms gleamed faintly, symbols of their classes and years. Judging by their polished strides, Michael guessed they were second years. They didn't spare him a second glance. He overtook them silently, his plain tracksuit making him stand out as someone not part of their circle. A few eyes flicked toward him, indifferent, before turning back to their rhythm. Michael kept running. Further along, in a large courtyard, more cadets were training. Some were engaged in push-ups, their arms moving like pistons. Others ran laps around the yard, voices raised in calls of encouragement or discipline. The clang of wooden swords echoed as pairs sparred, each strike sending vibrations across the morning air. Michael slowed his pace slightly, watching them from the corner of his eye. Third years. Their stance is sharper, breathing more controlled. The difference in experience is clear. Past the courtyard, the Colosseum loomed. Its massive arches stretched high into the sky, casting shadows over the ground. Within its walls, the muffled roars of combat rang out, sparring duels already underway at this early hour. Michael imagined what kind of battles were being fought inside. Quick, decisive strikes, spells colliding in bursts of light and thunder. Older cadets honing themselves like sharpened blades, each fight pushing them toward greater heights. And he was ignored. Nobody called his name. Nobody tried to rope him into their exercises. Nobody even gave him the courtesy of suspicion. To them, he was just another first year, one of the hundreds who'd barely scraped through the survival trial. Michael's lips curved faintly at the irony. If they knew the results, if they knew what I did yesterday, half of them would already be here trying to drag me into their circles. They'd whisper offers, bait me with resources, promise me strength in exchange for loyalty. That's how this academy works. But they didn't. Not yet. And Michael wasn't about to tell them. He preferred it this way, to move quietly, unbothered, while the upper years underestimated him. By the time his 10th kilometer came to an end, the sun had risen higher, washing the academy grounds in bright gold. Sweat clung to his forehead, his breathing heavy but steady. His body felt alive, sharper than it had in weeks. Yet his mind was far from quiet. As he walked back along the training road, cooling his pace, thoughts pressed in, thoughts of factions. Michael wiped sweat from his brow, gaze drifting toward the academy's towering spires in the distance. Arcadia wasn't just a place of learning. It was a battlefield of ideologies. The game made it sound simple. You chose a side, gained quests and benefits, and moved forward. But here, this world feels heavier, more dangerous. Choosing wrong isn't just about gameplay. It could mean being marked as an enemy. He let the thought simmer as his feet carried him along the path. The nobility faction. Michael pictured Magnus Draven, the Duke's heir who would soon graduate as one of Arcadia's most notorious names. Draven's philosophy was arrogant but clear. Nobles exist above all. Dignity, status, tradition, these are the pillars of his world. The weak exist to serve the strong, and commoners, they must know their place. To join him meant access to influence, wealth, and connections. Noble families would extend their hands. Resources would flow like rivers, and cadets under his wing could rise quickly. But the price was submission. Bend the knee, call yourself lesser, and watch every noble treat you like dirt under their boots. Michael's jaw tightened. Then there was the equality faction. Emily Lionheart, the student council president, Leon's elder stepsister by law, though their bond was complicated. Her ideology was the opposite of Draven's. Strength exists to protect the weak. Nobles and commoners stand equal, united by shared growth. She attracted idealists, dreamers, those tired of oppression. Her faction became a shield for the downtrodden, a rallying cry for fairness. Michael could already imagine her standing on a stage, her words burning with charisma, her followers cheering with fervor. Joining her would mean allies, protection, a banner of justice. But it would also mean making enemies. Draven would see me as a direct threat. His followers would mark me from day one. I'd have to fight every step just to survive the hostility. Michael exhaled slowly. And then, the neutral faction. This was the unexpected one, the one not even the game touched on. Ethan Braveheart, a name whispered like a legend. 4th year, rank number 1 of the academy. His approach was neither noble arrogance nor egalitarian idealism. His stance was balance, peace, profit, and pragmatism. Those who want no part in ideology, those tired of war, those seeking quiet strength, all gather beneath him. He plays both sides, negotiates deals, and builds power not from ideals, but from leverage. Neutrality came with its own risks. No firm allies, no ideological shield, but freedom. And freedom meant choice. Michael's pace slowed until he stopped at the edge of the path, gazing across the academy fields. So which one? Nobility offered resources. Equality offered camaraderie. Neutrality offered freedom. Each was a ladder, each a chain. In the game, players had the luxury of experimentation. Joining one, then reloading his save if things went wrong. But here, this was real. Once chosen, the path might be irreversible. Michael closed his eyes briefly, recalling the faces he had seen already. Leon Lionheart, standing proud even in the survival trial. Selena, her gaze sharp, trembling as she whispered his name. Draven's shadow, still ahead. Emily, waiting somewhere within the academy walls. Ethan Braveheart, silent, observing from the top. The stage was already set, and he was no longer just a bystander. I can't avoid this forever. Eventually, I'll have to choose. The question is, when? His fists clenched lightly at his sides. For now, silence was his weapon. Let them underestimate him. Let them ignore him. When the time came, he would step onto the stage not as a nameless first year, but as the storm they never saw coming. Michael turned back toward the dormitories, the sun casting his shadow long across the road. The common hall was quiet when Michael returned, the morning bustle of cadets still muffled beyond its walls. A soft hush lingered in the corridors, broken only by the faint hum of mana lamps embedded into the ceiling. Their pale blue glow spilled across polished stone tiles, reflecting faintly like ripples of moonlight. Michael entered the bath chamber, and the difference struck him instantly. Clink, clink, drip. The air was warmer, heavy with steam that curled lazily around the lanterns. Rows of marble basins lined the walls, carved with delicate runes that pulsed faintly. Mana-infused water flowed through them in endless supply, trickling like a crystal brook. He pulled his shirt over his head, peeling away fabric still clinging faintly with dried sweat. The quiet rustle of cloth against skin echoed in the chamber. Tossing it aside, he stepped toward the wide pool at the center of the bathhouse. The water shimmered with a faint azure hue, runes glowing beneath the surface. Steam rose in thin veils, carrying the faint scent of minerals. Michael dipped a hand in. Shhh. Warm ripples spread, wrapping around his skin. Without hesitation, he sank himself into the water, muscles relaxing as though the heat had been waiting just for him. Ah! The sigh escaped before he could stop it, echoing softly in the empty chamber. His eyes closed, head tipping back against the marble edge. For a brief moment, the world fell away, the battles, the points, the sharks, even the weight of his secret knowledge. For the first time in days, he felt clean, human. Drip, drip. Drops of water slid down his temples, trailing across the defined lines of his jaw. Steam swirled, veiling the chamber in a dreamlike haze. The silence was punctuated only by the faint rush of the enchanted springs and the gentle lapping of water against the stone. Michael finally rose, droplets cascading down the contours of his body. His silver-white hair clung wet against his forehead, catching the faint glow of the mana lamps like strands of liquid moonlight. His physique, honed through weeks of relentless training, gleamed with droplets sliding across lean muscle, each ripple of movement revealing strength hidden beneath calm poise. Even in silence, his presence carried weight. Grabbing a towel, he wiped himself down with slow, deliberate motions. Rustle, swish. Fabric brushed against his skin, soaking away water, leaving faint warmth behind. When he was finished, he draped the towel over his shoulders and sat cross-legged near the edge of the chamber. His breath was steady now, though his blue eyes held a quiet storm beneath their surface. He raised his right hand slightly. Status. Ding. A crystalline chime rang out, resonating in the chamber like a bell struck underwater. Before his eyes, translucent azure screens unfolded into existence, layer after layer of glowing text etched in runic script. The light from the display painted across his damp skin, illuminating his focused expression. Status window. Name, Michael Willson. Age, 15. Class, Magic Swordsman. Traits, Mana Manipulation. Rank E. Affinity, Ice Space. STR 109. STA 117. AGI 94. ENC 79. INT 107. Mana 2900/2900. Unallocated stats 0. SP 3720. Skills 8. Arts 1. Shop creation skill. Notification. Skills. Unique skill. Shadow swap purple. Sword skills. Sword swift green. Sword counter blue. Mental skill. Quantum analysis mind purple. Ice spell skills. Frozen edge blue. Ice missile blue. Ice bullet green. Ice shield blue. Space spell skills none. Arts. Basic swordsmanship. Apprentice art. Adept 63%. The runes pulsed faintly, almost alive, as though waiting for his command. Michael's eyes scanned the glowing window, his expression unreadable. Strength, stamina, intelligence slowly rising, but still too low. If yesterday had been more than a trial, if the sharks hadn't been weakened, would I have survived? He exhaled, closing the status with a gesture. The light dissolved into shimmering motes, vanishing into the air. The bath chamber fell silent again, only the faint dripping of enchanted springs filling the void. Michael leaned back against the wall, towel draped loosely across his shoulders, his gaze unfocused on the ceiling above. The quiet lingered, heavy yet strangely comforting. For the first time since arriving in this world, he allowed himself to simply breathe. System show the notification. Ding. It wasn't a simple chime. It was a crystalline tone that vibrated through the air like glass struck by sunlight. The world around Michael froze. No, not literally, but everything dulled. The chatter of cadets outside, the faint splash of water from the dormitory baths, even the distant toll of the morning bells. Before his eyes, a giant, translucent screen unfurled. Runes swirled like galaxies across its surface, assembling into neat, glowing lines of text. Michael exhaled slowly. His eyes narrowed, his silver lashes catching the shimmer. Finally, show me what I've earned. The board gleamed. Quest 1. Pass the entrance exam. 1.1 Pass the first exam. Reward. Plus 3 stats, plus 500 SP. Complete wide heavy checkmark. 1.2 Pass the second exam. Reward. Plus 3 stats, plus 500 SP. Complete wide heavy checkmark. 1.3 Pass the third exam. Reward. Plus 3 stats, plus 2 STR, plus 600 SP. Complete wide heavy checkmark. 1.4 Pass the final exam. Reward. Plus 5 stats, plus 3 STR, plus 2 INT, plus 900 SP. Complete wide heavy checkmark. Michael's lips twitched. 4 hurdles for clears. Neatly packaged. Good. But the board wasn't done. It rippled, expanding like a banner in the wind. Quest 2. Be the best. Result-based reward. Rank 9th to 5th. Reward. Plus 5 stats, X1 blue skill. Rank 4th to 3rd. Reward. Plus 10 stats, X1 purple skill. Rank 2nd. Reward. Plus 15 stats, X2 purple skills, plus 5,000 SP. Rank 1st. Reward. Plus 20 stats, X1 purple skill, X1 gold skill, plus 15,000 SP. Complete, white heavy check mark. Michael's eyes flared. His heartbeat kicked against his ribs. Now that is what I wanted. The moment his name hit first place yesterday, he knew this quest would transform. Still, the reality of seeing gold skill shimmer in letters of molten sunlight sent shivers down his spine. The system wasn't done. Quest 3. Admitted to the Academy. 1.1 Become an official student of the Academy. Reward. Plus 10 stats, plus 5,000 SP. Complete, white heavy check mark. 1.2 Assigned to Class A. Reward. Plus 15 stats, plus 8,000 SP. Complete, white heavy check mark. Hidden quest. Counter instructor's attack one time and move him from his stance. Reward. Plus 20 stats. Complete, white heavy check mark. Hidden quest. Slay the swallow shark, de rank. Reward. Epic rank item ticket. Complete, white heavy check mark. Then came a cascade. Ding, ding, ding. Rewards stacked across the glowing screen until his vision blurred with light. Claim rewards. Free stats, plus 79. STR plus 5. In plus 2. 1 X random purple rank skill. 1 X random gold rank skill. 1 X epic rank item ticket. Michael stared at it all for a long second. Then he did the only logical thing. He jumped up like a child seeing candy. Yes. Ha ha ha. Finally, system, you actually delivered. His laugh echoed in the empty room, sharp and triumphant. He clenched his fists and let the sound die down, his expression cooling back into calculation. Now, let's allocate. Scene 2, distributing stats. He called his status screen again. Blue light fanned out, neat as crystal panes. Status window. Name, Michael Willson. Age, 15. Class, Magic Swordsman. Traits, Mana Manipulation. Rank E. Affinity, Ice Space. STR, 109. STA, 117. AGI, 94. ENC, 79. Int, 107. Mana, 2,900/2,900. Unallocated stats, 79 plus bonuses. SP, 3,720. Michael rubbed his chin. STR first. Always STR. Power means survival. He dragged 30 points into strength. The number jumped 109 to 139. Then another bonus ticked, nudging it further. Good. Stamina next. I can't swing if I'm dead tired. Plus 20 into stamina. The bar thickened like a reservoir filling. Endurance, 10 points. I'll need to tank some hits sooner or later. Yinsi climbed. Agility, another 10. Can't let Leon outpace me when he gets serious. The final 9 went into intelligence. When the last digit settled, the screen pulsed with authority. Updated status. STR, 144 plus 5. STA, 137. AGI, 104. ENC, 89. Int, 118 plus 2. Mana, 3,400/3,400. Unallocated stats, 0. SP, 29,720. Michael exhaled through his nose, a smirk curling. E rank, nearly E+. At least 3 stats above 145, and I'll breach the next threshold. He flexed his hand, the faint crackle of power running through veins like silver fire. I feel stronger now. He pulled out the glowing purple card first. All right, let's see what fate throws me. The moment his fingers brushed it, the card dissolved into amethyst motes. Ding! Random purple skill activated. Congratulations, skill acquired. Aura / error. Host has not learned Aura. Michael's brow shot up. Excuse me, system auto-modifying skill. Deducting 20,000 SP for optimization. Modified skill created. Aura holder purple. Michael's jaw dropped. What? My SP. Do you have any idea how long I saved that? The system pulsed innocently. Modification successful. Skill acquired. Aura holder. Rank purple epic. Type passive. Steel alone cannot contain a magic swordsman spirit. With aura holder, Every drop of mana you command can be reforged into the living edge of your blade. Core effects. 1. Mana to aura conversion. You may convert any portion of your current mana pool into combat aura at will base ratio 1 mana, 1 aura. Conversion is instantaneous. Aura persists for 30 seconds or until expended. 2. Mana, aura, equilibrium. Your body automatically channels ambient, natural mana to replace what was converted, preventing sudden mana shock and allowing simultaneous spell casting. While equilibrium is active, total effective mana regeneration is increased by 10%. 3. Stamina-driven growth. For every point of stamina you actively spend in battle or training, 0.05 aura is added to your permanent maximum aura capacity, caps at plus 30% of base per day. Overexertion past 70% stamina triggers fatigue. Further conversion is locked until stamina recovers to 30% or higher. Locked evolutions. For Aura Overdrive, locked requires 50,000 SP. Pour everything into a single moment. Effects unknown. 5. Aura Resonance, locked requires 120,000 SP. When mana, aura, and spirit pulse as one, worlds tremble. Effects unknown. Michael stared. His anger dissolved into stunned silence. Then, I take it back. I love you. He grinned, wide and sharp. With this, I can wield aura. A ranked swordsman struggled for years, and 15 years old, and I already have it. His pulse thundered. Aura meant blade enhancement, spirit cutting, magic countering. A direct leap into top-tier combat power. He barely breathed before pulling out the gold card. It didn't dissolve. Instead, 5 cards appeared, circling him in golden radiance. Choose one. Michael blinked. So I get to gamble, huh? His hand hovered. He closed his eyes. Logic told him left second row. Instinct told him fourth from the left. He chose. The card flared. Ding. Acquired gold skill. Ice domain. Michael's blood chilled. Literally. Blue frost radiated from the description, the letters themselves breathing cold. Skill. Ice domain. Rang gold. Type. Active. Frostbound territory. Creates 30 m radius domain. Terrain freezes. Duration 45s. Absolute awareness. Detects all mana bearers within domain. Real-time mapping. Stealth reduced by 25%. Debuff. Hostiles suffer minus 30% STR. Slowed movement. Stacking true frost damage. Cost. 12% mana plus 2% every 5s. Cooldown. 400s. Michael read it twice. Then thrice. Slowly, his lips parted. A domain skill. He whispered it like a prayer. Domains were skills only high-tier mages wielded, a rank minimum. To have one now. He laughed. The sound cracked the quiet room. Ice domain, combined with aura. I'm unstoppable. The rankings announcement. BZZT, BZZT. Michael's wristwatch vibrated. A faint glow pulsed beneath the tempered mana glass surface, like a heartbeat trying to escape. Then, ding! The sound was sharp and crystalline, echoing through his private chamber as though a temple bell had been struck. Blue lines of mana traced across the air, weaving a holographic scroll that unfurled before his eyes. The glow painted his walls silver, shadows dancing like living things. Michael leaned back in the chair by his desk, one leg crossed over the other, arms folded. His silver eyes narrowed. Finally, the notification wasn't small. It was massive. Golden letters stretched in the air like divine scripture, each name flashing as if branded into the world itself. Final scoreboard. Number 1, Michael Willson. Combat, 100 out of 100. Theory, 99 out of 100. Survival, 100 out of 100. Endurance, 100 out of 100. Number 2, Leon Lionheart. Combat, 100 out of 100. Theory, 90 out of 100. Survival, 98 out of 100. Endurance, 100 out of 100. Number 3, Lyra Braveheart. Combat, 96 out of 100. Theory, 96 out of 100. Survival, 91 out of 100. Endurance, 95 out of 100. Number 4, Eric William. Combat, 98 out of 100. Theory, 85 out of 100. Survival, 93 out of 100. Endurance, 97 out of 100. Number 5, Selena Valen. Combat, 85 out of 100. Theory, 97 out of 100. Survival, 88 out of 100. Endurance, 85 out of 100. Number 6, Aiden Stromfong. Combat, 97 out of 100. Theory, 70 out of 100. Survival, 88 out of 100. Endurance, 86 out of 100. Number 7, Elara Moonshade. Combat, 90 out of 100. Theory, 74 out of 100. Survival, 70 out of 100. Endurance, 80 out of 100. Number 8, Aurelia Miller. Combat, 80 out of 100. Theory, 98 out of 100. Survival, 77 out of 100. Endurance, 71 out of 100. Number 9, Maria Frostheart. Combat, 75 out of 100. Theory, 74 out of 100. Survival, 90 out of 100. Endurance, 80 out of 100. Number 10, Zach Sunwood. Combat, 80 out of 100. Theory, 65 out of 100. Survival, 79 out of 100. Endurance, 73 out of 100. The glowing screen hummed, projecting faint sound like parchment being flipped by invisible hands. Each line shimmered into existence with a flip, leaving a trail of golden motes before fading into stability. Michael's perspective. He let out a low chuckle, the corner of his mouth quirking. As expected, his name at the very top glowed brighter than the rest, bathed in a thin aura of light the system had clearly added for emphasis. He could almost imagine nobles choking on their wine, seeing his name outshine Leon Lionheart's. Michael leaned his chin on his hand, silver eyes glinting with quiet amusement. Rank 1, untouchable, and here I thought I'd have to claw for second or third. He let the silence stretch, the weight of the moment settling into his bones. But then his sharp mind clicked. In the original timeline, Leon was the one to take first. He should have been the one glowing at the top, the one showered with glory and expectations. And yet, here I am. The butterfly effect spreads again. A thrill ran through him. Victory was sweet, but deviation meant unpredictability. And unpredictability was both opportunity and danger. The academy wasn't quiet. Far from it. The same golden holograms blazed above the training grounds, in dormitories, even inside the central dining hall. Everywhere cadets stood, their eyes locked on the glowing scoreboard. The announcement system wasn't just a list, it was a spectacle. Light fell like stars, accompanied by the gong of ceremonial bells echoing across the campus. Gasps, shouts, and murmurs rose like a tidal wave. Leon Lionheart stood inside his chamber, knuckles clenched so hard the leather of his gloves groaned. His golden eyes narrowed on the glowing number 2 by his name. He surpassed me. The words were ground out like gravel between his teeth. Not despair, but raw frustration. For Leon, second place was humiliation, not because he had failed, but because Michael had succeeded. Yet, deep in his chest, something else burned hotter: resolve. Michael Willson, I will surpass you, no matter what. Lyra Braveheart lounged on her bed, legs swinging. The fire-haired girl grinned, her sharp teeth glinting in the holographic light. Huh, Silver Boy actually outpaced Lion Boy? Huh. She kicks her feet, sharp teeth flashing in a wolfish grin. Oh, this year's going to be delicious. Excitement bubbled in her veins. Rivalries, battles, the thrill of competition. Her blood sang at the thought. Selena Valen sat at her desk, quill frozen midward as the notification appeared. The pale-haired girl's emerald eyes widened, reflecting the glowing scoreboard. 5th place. Her lips pressed together. 5th was respectable, even enviable. But the name at the top overshadowed everything else. Michael, she whispered, fingers tightening around the quill. A mix of admiration, curiosity, and a strange ache stirred inside her chest. Aiden Stromfong barked out a laugh, so loud the boys in the common hall flinched. Ha ha ha. Damn, that's my guy. 1st place. He slammed his fist into his palm, grinning ear to ear. Now, I really want to fight him. Alara Moonshade leaned against the shadow of her window, silent. Her dark hair veiled her sharp violet eyes, but her lips curled in something unreadable. Number 1, huh? She didn't scoff, didn't frown, but her heart beat faster than usual. Observation, that was her nature, and Michael Willson was becoming more interesting to observe by the second. Aurelia Miller adjusted her glasses, eyes sharp behind the lenses as she studied the board. Perfect scores in combat, survival, and endurance. Theory only 1 mark short. She tapped her desk lightly. Suspiciously perfect. A calculating light burned in her gaze. Maria Frostheart froze in place, her breath fogging. 9th place. Her name glowed far below Michael's, the difference like sky and earth. Her nails dug into her palm, blood trickling down her pale fingers. No, he shouldn't be. Cold fury crackled around her, frost spreading across the floor. Zach Sunwood leaned back on his bunk, whistling low. Well, damn. Guess I scraped into the top 10 after all. He smirked, but his eyes lingered on the shining number 1. Michael, huh? He's either insane or a monster. Maybe both. The campus buzzed. Every name on the board became gossip fodder. But one name, the brightest, the first, Michael Willson, shone above all else. Michael watched the hologram fade into transparency, the light scattering into motes. The silence that followed was almost eerie, broken only by the faint hum of mana dissipating. Then, ding, another notification appeared. As top scorer of the entrance examination, Michael Willson is required to deliver the first-year representative speech. Time, 9 a.m. tomorrow at the Academy's grand ceremony. Michael blinked once, then twice. Speech. The words slipped from his mouth, flat and incredulous. His memory churned. In the game, no such event existed. But in the novel, yes, he remembered. The scene was vivid. Leon Lionheart, standing tall, giving an impassioned speech as the first-year representative. It was a critical character moment, setting the tone for his growth. And now, Michael laughed bitterly. So that's it. Another shift. He pinched the bridge of his nose, exhaling. I was supposed to stay behind the curtain, not stand in front of the entire academy. The system didn't respond. It didn't need to. The truth was obvious. The story was no longer following its rails. BZZT. The watch glowed again. Notification. Top 10 cadets are hereby granted residence in the Supreme Hall. Details spilled out. Luxurious suites, private training facilities, advanced mana circulation chambers. Michael read it, lips quirking. Well, at least one reward makes sense. But the satisfaction didn't last. His gaze darkened, the reflection of his own name glowing back at him in the mana glass of his watch. The story keeps changing. He whispered it like a curse, silver eyes narrowing to slits. Ding dong. The academy bells tolled, deep and commanding, echoing across the sprawling campus like iron striking the sky. Students in the common dorms poked their heads out of their rooms, whispering. But this announcement wasn't for all of them. A crisp voice followed, carried by mana amplification. Attention! All top 10 first years. Report to the Supreme Hall lobby within 1 hour. I froze, my hand still on the sword I'd been cleaning. Supreme Hall, I muttered under my breath. The place reserved only for the top 10 cadets of every year. The place most players never even glimpsed in the game unless they were obsessed with completion bonuses or hack save files. And now I was actually being summoned there. I closed the system window, floating in front of me, grabbed my suitcase, and began packing. Clothes, notebooks, a few energy bars I bought in town, and most importantly, my blade. The Supreme Hall wasn't just a dormitory. It was a luxury suite stacked with training utilities, private gravity chamber, VR battle simulations, mana recovery baths. A privilege, a prize, and more importantly, a stage. The zipper on my suitcase rasped shut. My boots thudded against the wooden floor as I stood. So this is it. The academy arc begins now, and I already know exactly how it plays out. The walk across campus was filled with stares. Other cadets, those who barely scraped through the survival trial, watched me lug my suitcase across the manicured courtyard, whispering, "Isn't it the commoner who placed first? Rank 1. Unbelievable. He crushed even the Lionheart boy. Do you think it was rigged?" Their eyes weighed on me, some with envy, others with admiration. I ignored them. Finally, I stopped in front of it. The Supreme Hall loomed before me like a palace transplanted into the academy grounds. Towering marble pillars rose into the clouds, carved with intricate runes that pulsed faintly like living veins. Banners of past champions draped from the balconies, their embroidered crests shimmering with gold thread. When the bronze doors creaked open with a deep gruen, the air inside was cool and perfumed faintly with mana-rich incense. The Supreme Hall lobby wasn't empty. No, they were already here. 10 first years. The best of the best. The so-called protagonist candidates, if this were a game. And every pair of eyes turned toward me. The first figure I noticed was Leon Lionheart. He stood in the center of the room, like gravity itself pulled the space around him. Tall, broad-shouldered, his blonde hair gleamed like polished gold under the mana-lit chandelier. His expression was calm, composed, but there was a subtle intensity in his gaze like a blade resting in its sheath, perfectly balanced. Beside him stood Selena Valen, the silver-haired girl whose presence was as striking as it was serene. Her hair shimmered under the light, cascading like a waterfall, her emerald eyes cool and intelligent. Even dressed in the Academy's uniform, she radiated elegance that marked her as more than just any noble. A little further back, Elara Shadowborn leaned lazily against a marble pillar, her arms crossed, her expression unreadable. Her long black hair fell like a curtain, and her violet eyes glowed faintly in the shadows, watching everything but revealing nothing. The kind of presence that whispered dangerous. And then, Eric. I saw you walk towards me. Eric's sneer was the first thing that greeted me. Blonde hair styled immaculately, jaw sharp, his uniform perfectly pressed. He oozed arrogance from every pore. The moment our eyes met, he smirked and started walking toward me, his boots striking the polished floor in sharp clicks. Well, he drawled, his voice carrying easily across the lobby. Look who decided to finally join the real cadets. A few of the others shifted, curious. Eric stopped right in front of me, looking me up and down like I was filth tracked into his home. His lip curled. "You commoner," he spat, almost like the word was poison. "Really crawl this far? Tell me, who did you bribe in the academy to hand you rank 1? The lobby went quiet. The silence stretched, taut, everyone waiting. I stared straight into his eyes, my face calm, cold. It's not that I bribed anyone. My voice was steady, sharp as ice. It's that you're weak. The words landed like a blade. For half a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then Eric's face flushed red, veins throbbing in his forehead. His teeth clenched so hard I could hear the faint grind. "You motherfucker," he roared. His hand shot up, fist tightening, aura flaring slightly with crackling heat. "Who the hell are you calling weak?" Gasps rippled through the lobby. A few of the cadets instinctively stepped back, wary of the mana spike. I shifted my weight, arms crossing into a defensive stance without thinking. My system hummed faintly in the back of my mind, ready to react if he actually swung. The tension was suffocating, seconds stretching like hours. But then a voice sliced through it. Enough. It wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. Leon Lionheart had stepped forward, his gaze steady, his presence commanding the room. His golden eyes locked on Eric, firm but calm. "You know the rules," Leon said, his voice carrying authority that made even Eric pause. "No fighting between cadets without instructor permission." Eric froze, fist trembling midair. His aura sputtered for a second before he lowered it with a sharp jerk, clicking his tongue. "Tish, lucky for you, commoner," he spat, glaring at me one last time. "Next time, I'll show you who's truly on top." He spun on his heel and stalked away, shoulders stiff with fury. Selena sighed softly as she followed after him. As she passed, she cast me a sidelong glance, her tone calm but firm. "Don't do anything reckless, Eric," she said. Eric only muttered under his breath as he leaned close to Leon. "Beauty boy, don't interfere in my business again." Then he stormed off toward the reception counter. The silence that followed was heavy, but different. The other cadets were watching me, now not with dismissal, but with new calculation in their eyes. I exhaled quietly, dropping my stance, my heartbeat steady. Inside, though, my gamer brain was already firing on all cylinders. So that's Eric's introduction event. Same arrogance, same temper. In the original story, he clashes with Leon first, but now I've taken that role. Interesting shift. The tension left the lobby in fragments, breaking like shards of glass after Eric stormed off. But the weight of gazes didn't disappear. Instead, they shifted, landing on me. Leon and Selena approach. Two figures stepped forward, calm and composed. The boy was as radiant as a hero straight out of a painting, Leon Lionheart. His golden hair gleamed beneath the mana lamps, his eyes a steady amber that seemed to glow with warmth even as they carried undeniable sharpness. He had that kind of aura that made people instinctively trust him or envy him. Beside him was Selena Valen. Her silver hair swayed like moonlight as she moved, her emerald eyes observing me carefully. She carried herself with elegance, every step deliberate. Even here, among the strongest of the first years, she seemed untouchable, yet not cold. "You must be Michael," Leon said, his voice calm and steady. It wasn't arrogant like Eric's, nor dismissive. Instead, it was genuine curiosity. The one who scored perfect marks in 3 trials and 98 in the written exam. Truly impressive. I didn't answer right away. Instead, I studied him. So this is Leon Lionheart. The system didn't give me any special scan function, but my memories of the story filled in enough. He was the main protagonist type, destined to carry the Academy arc, destined to fight and grow with the support of comrades. And here I was, an extra, who just stole his spotlight. My eyes flicked toward Selena. Her gaze was steady, waiting. She wasn't judging me, not openly, but she knew something. "Who are you both?" I finally asked, my tone flat, cautious. Leon blinked once before giving a small, almost apologetic smile. He placed a hand over his chest and gave a slight bow. Pardon me. I should have introduced myself earlier. My name is Leon Lionheart. You could just call me Leon. He gestured toward the girl beside him. And this is my friend, Selena Valen. The moment that name left his lips, my chest tightened. Valen, one of the 3 ruling royal families. My eyes lowered, and instinct guided me before logic could argue. I bowed slightly, respectful, my voice calm but carrying weight. Nice meeting you, Princess. Selena's lips curved faintly, but her tone was soft, almost gentle. It's all right. You could just call me Selena. She's different from the rumors. Calmer, kinder. Still dangerous, though. Leon extended his hand then, a faint smile lighting his expression. Well, Michael, I hope you don't mind being friends with us, as fellow classmates. I hesitated, my eyes narrowing slightly. Friends? Was that really what he meant? Or was it his natural charisma pulling people into his orbit again? But refusing outright would only isolate me further. So I reached forward, gripping his hand firmly. Yes, no problem. Good. Leon's smile widened slightly, warm but not naive. Then let's meet again at tomorrow's opening ceremony. I gave a small nod. Yeah. With that, the pair turned, walking toward the elevator at the far end of the lobby. Selena gave me one last glance before stepping inside with him. Her expression unreadable. So that's it. The official introduction event.